A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Jerry, at Fair Oaks.
Ready to go, Jerry? You've got to put all your things away before taps, you know.
Yeah, I'm ready. Let's go. Hey, Lee, do you think it'll be all right?
Shh, Jerry, no unnecessary talking.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, now you can talk, Jerry. What were you going to say?
I don't know now. I forgot.
Well, you understand why you can't talk in the library. A lot of fellas are studying there and doing research.
Sure, I know. I just forgot.
Well, what do you think of our library?
Sure is a nice one. Say, they've got almost any kind of book you'd want.
Yes, it's very complete.
Gee, it's sure pretty here at night. All these big oak trees and the moon shining through and so quiet. Boy.
A lot different than the circus, huh, Jerry?
I'll say it is. Hey, what time is it?
Just a little after 9:30, I guess.
We go to bed at 10.
That's right.
It sure is early for me to be going to bed. Why, when I was with the circus, sometimes I didn't get to bed until way after midnight. You know, right now, if I was back with the circus, I'd just about be going on with my act.
And here you are getting ready for bed.
Yep. I wonder if I'll be able to sleep tonight.
Well, sure you will. Why shouldn't you?
Well, tonight's the first time in a long, long time that I haven't gone to bed on a train.
Well, I'll fix that for you.
What do you mean?
I'll stay up all night and shake your bed.
That's an idea, and ring a bell and go toot-toot.
Oh, hey, look, Jerry. You see that cadet cutting across in front of the fountain?
Uh-huh.
Well, that's the cadet officer of the day, Cadet Captain Duncan. Now, don't forget to salute him.
Oh, I won't. You going to talk to him?
Mm-hmm, sure. I want you to meet him. Here he comes now. Captain Duncan, I'd like you to meet Cadet Jerry Dugan.
Glad to know you, Dugan. You're the new man that just came in today, is that right?
Yes, sir.
What quarters have you been assigned?
He's rooming with me.
Oh, fine. Well, I'll see you later. Good night.
Good night.
He seems like a nice fella.
Mm-hmm, yes, Duncan's all right. Very strict, though. Nothing keeps him from doing his duty as he sees it.
That's the way to be, I guess. A cadet officer is just supposed to be just like any other officer.
That's right, Jerry.
Hey, look, isn't that Major Davis just coming out of Custis Hall?
I can't quite see. Oh, yeah, that's him.
I wonder if he wanted to see me again today. When I left his office, he said he'd see me later.
Well, did he tell you to report back to him?
No.
Well, I guess he didn't want to see you. You see, everything's done by direct orders here at Fair Oaks. He's coming this way. Oh, if he stops us, be sure to come to attention.
Yeah, I know.
Now, let's not talk now.
Good evening. Well, Jerry, I see you were fitted out in your uniform.
Yes, sir.
Looks very good on you, Jerry. Have you seen all of the campus?
Almost all, I think.
I tried to show him as much as I could, sir.
Mm-hmm. Did you get down to the lake?
No, sir, we didn't have time.
Well, you can see the lake tomorrow and get around to the horses, too.
Yes, sir.
Now, tomorrow morning, sometime after breakfast and before you go to your first class, I want you to drop into my office and pick up your book of cadet rules and regulations. And during your study periods tomorrow, look the book over. You'll be able to understand it all right. But if there's anything that you can't get quite straight, Lee will help you out with it.
Yes, sir.
You going to your quarters now?
Yes, sir. We just came from the library.
Try to get all your things put away tonight before taps, Jerry. You'll have a very full day tomorrow. You can help him, Lee, if he needs any help.
Yes, sir.
I'll see you in the morning, Jerry. Good night.
Good night, Major Davis.
Good night, sir. Well, what do you think of the Major, Jerry?
I think he's one of the nicest men I've ever met. He reminds me a little bit of Mr. Randall.
Now, don't forget to get that book of rules and regulations right after breakfast tomorrow, huh?
No, I won't. Hey, what's in the book, Lee? Is it all about what to do and what not to do?
That's right. And once you get your book, you're supposed to memorize every rule in it. It tells all about how to conduct yourself in the different buildings, about the cadet officers, the bulletin board, the different bugle calls, formations, inspections, and passes, and everything.
There must be an awful lot to it.
Oh, it's not hard. You sort of learn things by watching the other cadets, too.
What do you mean by inspection, Lee?
Well, every Saturday morning, our rooms are inspected by cadet officers. Believe me, they have to be just right. And then, too, there are inspections in the line during drill.
To see if our uniforms are all right, huh?
And your hands and nails and hair, too. Oh, look, Jerry, before we go in, I want you to see Davis Oak by moonlight.
Davis Oak?
See that big one there by the fountain?
You mean the biggest one of all?
That's it. The biggest and the oldest. Yes, that's Davis Oak. That tree, Jerry, is the reason for Fair Oaks being where it is.
I don't understand.
Well, it's like this. Major Davis's father founded this school many, many years ago. When he was looking for the property to build on, he came out here. But this was all open country then, except for that big tree you're looking at.
Weren't all these other beautiful oak trees here then?
Yes, but they were just little trees then. Davis Oak was the only full-grown tree. Major Davis's father, so the story goes, pictured that tree right in the center of the quadrangle.
So the school was really built around that tree?
And isn't it beautiful?
Sure is.
Well, come on. The other fellows will be coming back from the library in a couple of minutes now.
Okay. But, gee, I could stay out here all night. It's so still that... Well, you know, Lee, I kind of miss the circus right now. I mean, now that it's bedtime and...
Say, I was lonesome, too, for the first few days. Come on, Jerry. Well, there goes Jim Cooper and Glenn Radford. I guess I was wrong. We're not the first ones back to quarters after all.
They're going in the room next to ours.
Yeah, that's their room.
Hey, where's Stubby's room?
Just down the hall from ours. Let's see, it's the third one, I think.
And Harold Linwell, where's his room?
Down at the other end of the hall. Well, here we are.
Hey, where'll I put my suitcase while I unpack? On the bed?
Oh, no. Here on this bench. Don't ever put anything on the bed. You want a hand?
No, I can make it.
Look, Jerry, this is your drawer here.
Okay.
And this right-hand top drawer is yours, too. That's for socks and handkerchiefs.
Hey, what's that?
Well, that's tattoo. That means get ready for bed. Here, I'll put these things away for you. Well, look at this.
What?
These pictures of this elephant. Hey, and that's you up on his head.
Sure. That's El Mundo. That's the elephant I did my act with in the circus.
All by yourself? I didn't know you did that.
Why, sure.
I thought maybe you were just part of some act. I didn't think you were an elephant trainer.
See this picture here, where I'm swinging from his trunk?
Yeah, it's some trick, all right.
Yeah, and look at this one, where El Mundo's standing up and I'm standing right under him.
Wow, did you make him do that yourself?
Sure I did. Besides, I had to give all the commands in Spanish.
In Spanish? What for?
Because he was a Spanish elephant and didn't understand English.
Can you talk Spanish?
Oh, only a few words. Just the commands I had to give to El Mundo. I learned how from Carmen Bendini. She was a tightrope walker with the circus.
Well, that's sure interesting, Jerry. Did you ever do any horseback riding?
Well, there was a little colt by the name of Splendor, and I rode him, but not in the show. I just used to ride him for fun. I broke him in, too. And maybe it wasn't hard getting him used to the saddle and bridle.
You sure must have had fun with the circus.
I did. I even jumped with Splendor. High fences, too.
Well, say, you might make one of the polo teams if you can ride that good. Oh. Hello, Morrison.
At ease, Phillips. Attention, Dugan. What's all the chatter going on in here?
I was just talking to Lee.
He was just telling me about some of his experiences with the circus.
Oh, so you were with the circus, huh?
He did his own act with an elephant. Go on, show Red the pictures, Jerry.
No, never mind the pictures. Just tell me about it. Tell me that you were the man on the flying trapeze that flew with the air with the greatest of ease. Yeah.
I didn't do an act on a trapeze. I gotta put this suitcase away now.
No, you don't. You put it away for him, Lee. I want to hear all about the circus, Dugan. Go ahead. Go ahead, talk.
Oh, let me alone. I've got to get ready and go to bed.
Now, that's no way to treat company. I want to hear about the circus. Go on.
Well, once we had a fire. It was in the horse top, and all the horses were trapped. Didn't look like they could be saved, and then...
You ran 2 miles with a drinking cup full of water. Threw it on the fire and put it out. Hooray! Dugan is a hero.
Oh, you don't want to hear anything.
Sure I do. This is all very interesting. What else?
I'm not going to say any more.
Oh, yes, you are. Tell me something exciting about the lions and tigers. Didn't anything ever happen to take your breath away? I want to hear about a real thrill.
I'll tell you something that really happened, but don't kid me about it. It's true and...
Go ahead, Dugan.
Well, once we had generator trouble and the lights started to flicker. Every light in the circus went out for a second or so and then went on again.
That's a good story. Go ahead.
Well, just as Jason, that's the lion tamer with the circus, went into the steel.
Steel? What's that, Jerry?
Well, that's the big enclosed ring where the wild animals work.
Okay, go ahead. I know that. You just listen, Phillips.
Well, his act had just started and all the lions and tigers were in the steel with him. He was just about to put them through their tricks when the lights went out and didn't come on again. They stayed out. The audience went wild and even the performers got scared. They figured the lions would jump on Jason.
Okay, that's good. Now I'll finish it. And just then you ran right out among all the wild animals and you had a big birthday cake with a lot of candles on it. You lit the candles. The wild animal trainer finished his act and everyone lived happily ever after.
Oh, what's the use of telling you anything?
'Cause I like it. Here at Fair Oaks, we don't get to hear about a circus every day. Go on, Dugan. One more story.
That's all.
Oh, so you won't talk, huh?
Oh, let up, Red.
You keep out of this, Phillips, or I'll be asking on you for some favors. Well, Dugan, as long as you won't talk, how about turning on the radio for me?
No, we aren't allowed to play radios after tattoo sounds, Red.
Yeah, turn on the radio, Dugan. Now you're learning to take orders the way you should.
We'll get in trouble for this, Red.
That so? Turn it on louder, Dugan. Louder, I said.
There, is that loud enough?
Yeah, that's fine. You want to dance?
Turn that on. What are you doing in here, Morrison?
Oh, just visiting with the new man, Duncan.
Tattoo and call to quarters are both in. Go to your room, Morrison.
Yes, sir. Well, good night.
Now, who turned that radio on?
Well, you see, sir, it was...
I did, Captain Duncan.
You know better than that, Phillips. You're not setting a very good example for a new man. I'm going to have to give you 2 demerits for this.
Yes, sir.
Get ready for bed. Taps will be sounding any minute now.
What did you take the blame for, Lee?
Oh, I was afraid you were going to tell Duncan the truth.
Sure I was. And he ought to know.
No, Jerry. That's one thing we don't do here at Fair Oaks. And we settle all our scores among ourselves.
But you got 2 demerits for something you didn't do.
Oh, that's nothing, Jerry. I hadn't worked them off with 2 hours of extra study. And I can use the time anyway. Just forget about it. Oh, I'm getting to bed. I'll switch the lights off.
Someday that red Morse.
Forget it, Jerry. Well, good night, Jerry.
Good night.
it started, a girl's wedding and New Year's Eve were only 6 hours away, and I didn't think the bride-to-be would make either one of them. But that was before I ran up against the slot machine operator, the escaped convict, and above all, the old acquaintance.
From the pen of Raymond Chandler, outstanding author of crime fiction, comes his most famous character as CBS presents The Adventures of Philip Marlowe. And now, with Gerald Moore, starred as Philip Marlowe, we bring you tonight's exciting story, The Old Acquaintance.
At 6 o'clock in the last evening of the year, I was sitting with my feet up on my office desk thinking of impossible New Year's resolutions and what the girl on my butcher's 1949 calendar would or would not be wearing. But at that present point, there was a soft, almost apologetic knock on my office door. I said come in and saw a quiet man in quiet clothes who extended a quiet hand. He introduced himself as Paul Riker, a Beverly Hills insurance broker. But the tremor in his voice said very worried client, which on New Year's Eve was something I could do without.
Mr. Marlowe, you've got to find Nancy Marshall for me.
Just for a springboard, Mr. Riker, who is Nancy Marshall?
She's my fiancée. We were to be married at my place in Beverly Hills tonight.
On New Year's Eve?
Yes, you see, it was at a New Year's Eve party a year ago that we met for the first time.
Oh, when'd you last hear from her?
2 hours ago. She called and said that she was in terrible trouble, that nobody, especially the police, could help her, that the wedding was off.
I see. You're sure it's not just a matter of your being left at the altar, huh?
Another man? Oh, no, I'm certain that's not it. Now, please, Mr. Marlowe, will you help me?
Mr. Riker, to you, New Year's Eve means wedding bells, but to me it's something else, specifically a cozy little apartment on Wilshire Boulevard where there's a very nice girl and a couple of chilled bottles of sham...
Oh, what is it, Mr. Marlowe? What's wrong?
Somebody outside. Riker, get away from that door, quick! Whoever threw those shots through the frosted glass of my office door wasn't interested in checking up on his marksmanship, because by the time I got to my feet, he was taking the stairs to the street. When I got outside, I was just in time to see him pile into a pickup truck and roar off. The best I could do was get a face full of exhaust fumes and the last 3 numbers on his license plate, which read 711. When I got back to Riker and the glass on my office floor, I found the potential groom whiter, shakier, and less quiet than at our first meeting.
Marlowe, did you get him? Do you know who it was?
No, I don't. Now, relax a minute, Riker, and think.
Yes.
Who could possibly object to you and Nancy getting married?
But that's just it. There's nobody I know of, Mr. Marlowe, and I'm positive that the same is true of Nancy.
All right, now tell me, where does Nancy live?
In a villa at 1428 North Havenhurst Drive, number 12.
Mm-hmm.
But I've already been there, and she's gone.
Were you inside?
No, the door was locked. But, Mr. Marlowe, I thought you had specific plans for this evening.
I do. But from the way things stack up right now, they've got a better chance of keeping than Nancy Marshall. Now, look, go back to your place in Beverly Hills, stay away from frosted glass windows, and wait till you hear from me. We're real lucky, Mr. Riker. It still might turn out to be a happy New Year. When Riker left the office, I called Lieutenant Ibarra at police headquarters. And after being told that it would take at least a half hour to get my kind of lead out of the 7-Eleven I had on the pickup truck's license, I headed for Nancy's villa on North Havenhurst, where it took me 10 minutes to outsmart the catch on the back door. Inside, except for a carelessly overturned box of old snapshots, which meant nothing to me, and a lot of half-open drawers and closets, I was no place. And in the kitchen, where there was a full cup of cold coffee next to an open newspaper, the setup was almost the same. But not quite. Because on the front page of the paper, there was a banner story complete with pictures that shouted the news of 3 men who had broken out of the state penitentiary that morning. And one of them, a man named Steve Doyle, had a face that I'd seen only minutes ago on one of the snapshots in the overturned box. I grabbed the paper and started back to check with the snapshot once again for good measure. But the second I stepped into the living room, I stopped.
Hello. I don't believe I know you.
Oh, the voice matched the lady perfectly. She was tall, beautiful brunette, about 30. Wearing a beige metallic wool jersey that covered more curves than a ride on a roller coaster. But the large monogrammed A on her purse meant that this was not the woman who had planned to marry Paul Riker.
I said I don't believe I know you.
The name is Arthur Murray. You're late for your rumble lesson.
Oh, never mind the jokes, bright boy. It's a waste of your time and mine.
All right, then. We'll play it very straight. My name is Philip Marlowe. I'm a private detective, and I'm working for a very worried man. Now, what's your connection with Nancy Marshall?
I'm just, shall we say, an old acquaintance? That's all.
Not enough. I'll prime the pump some more. I was hired to find Nancy, who seems to be in a lot of trouble. And coincidentally in trouble on the same day that Steve Doyle breaks out of stir. Now, once more, exactly where do you fit in?
I don't think I'll tell you, Mr. Marlowe. If you don't mind.
Well, pearl-handled, huh? How very chic.
But deadly. Now get in that closet there, Marlowe. Go on.
All right. But just so we don't go through this same routine when we meet again, and we will, who are you?
You don't listen very carefully, Marlowe. I've already told you that I'm an old acquaintance. It's the season for them, remember? Now get in there and shut up.
Nancy Marshall's villa was post-war construction at its worst, closets included. So I didn't stay tucked away with the mothballs any longer than it takes to say old acquaintance. The minute I kicked my way out, I went right for the telephone and my only 100% bona fide lead, the number 711.
This is Lieutenant Ibarra.
Marlowe, Ibarra. Anything for me on that license number?
Oh, yeah. If you're sure it was a pickup truck, the chances are pretty good that it either belongs to a party named Maurice J. Calder at 409 South Main or one Jerome Graff, 3221 and a half Melrose Avenue.
Check.
What's up, Phil? Anything I might be interested in?
That depends. Ever hear of a guy named Steve Doyle?
One of that gang that broke out this morning?
The very same. Matter of fact, he's probably driving that pickup truck right now.
Oh.
But look, Ibarra, I think I know what I'm doing, so how about letting me run this end of it until I get stuck?
Well,
there's a girl named Nancy Marshall mixed up in this, and a delay at this time might cost her life.
All right, I'll stay clear, Phil, for a while.
Good.
But just so you don't get too careless, remember, Doyle got out of jail this morning the hard way. He killed 2 guards.
Oh, fine.
Goodbye, Marlowe.
I got to 409 South Main. I knew that my first choice had to be wrong because Maurice J. Calder turned out to be a bankrupt junkman, and his pickup truck, which was loaded with everything including the kitchen sink, had 3 flat tires and hadn't moved in a week. So if the numerals 711 were going to live up to their reputation, Jerome Graff had to be my man. And that made the time to be careful now. 3221 and a half Melrose was a tired cottage set back about 50 weed-covered feet from the sidewalk. And from the rusted sign, Jerry Graff, mechanic, dangling at a crazy angle from a weather-beaten beam over the front door. I gathered that the place doubled as both Mr. Graff's living quarters and shop. I didn't see any truck out front, so I decided to try the alley in the rear before I knocked on any door. It was then that I noticed for the first time that I was being watched by a short man with a long face who was slouched against a nearby tree like a marionette with no strings attached.
If you're lost, mister, maybe I can help you.
Maybe? I was looking for a pickup truck. Seen one around?
A pickup truck?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I wonder what that could be.
Well, it's a small deal, about a half a ton, and... Oh, I get it. Okay, here. Here's 5. Now my question.
Jerry Graff owns a pickup truck, but it ain't here. It's been out since dark. But Jerry's in. He's working late tonight.
Working at what? Come on, you got your 5. Talk.
Okay. It ain't no secret. Jerry's a nursemaid for one-armed bandits.
Slot machines, huh? Is that his racket?
Yeah. He used to be a big boy with them, too. But times have changed. Now he just works on them for other guys.
What other guys?
Oh, mister, I wouldn't answer that for even another 5. I wouldn't stay in business very long if I did. But I'll tell you one thing for free in case you're going to visit Jerry.
What's that?
Watch out for him. He's a very nasty man.
Thanks, but I can take care of myself, Buster.
What do you want?
Information. Where's your pickup truck, Graff?
Somebody stole it, but he didn't leave his card. Why, what are you, a private dick?
That's right, but one that works close to the law. So why don't we call the boys in blue and tell them all about it?
The cops? No, wait a minute. I don't like the law pattern around here. Come on in. I'll tell you what you want to know.
Let's not skip any of the details, huh? Like, for example, the name Steve Doyle.
Doyle? I don't know. Well, okay, fella, you win. The story goes something like this.
Want to try again?
Maybe a monkey wrench will convince you.
You don't throw any straight in your talk, Crap. Come on. What do you say? Do we play some more? Come on, talk. Come on.
Wait a minute. Talk.
All right.
I've had enough.
So far, I know a girl named Nancy Marshall's in some kind of trouble because Steve Doyle broke out of the pen this morning. Now, you fill in the blanks.
Oh, sure. Why not? Oh, Steve Doyle, he used to be crazy about Nancy, but she didn't go for him. Then about a year ago, a little more maybe, Steve got picked up for knocking over a grocery store. He figured he was caught because Nancy tipped the law to get him out of her hair.
Now he's out to get Nancy for revenge. Is that it?
Yeah, that's it. And anyone who's close to her gets the same treatment.
Oh, chummy. Now tell me, was Doyle here? Is he the one who's driving a pickup truck?
Yeah, but it wasn't my idea. He shoved a gun in my face, said we were old friends, and asked for the keys.
You know where he is now?
No, but if I did, I'd keep it to myself. Doyle's full of hate, brother. You can count on that. Now, what do you say about clearing out of here?
Just as soon as I find out one more thing. Now, there's another girl mixed up in this. She's a brunette with a lot of curves and the initial A. Calls herself an old acquaintance of Nancy's. Any idea who she is?
No, not the slightest.
You're a liar, Graff, and if I had time, I'd beat the truth out of you.
No, you haven't, believe me, because if you don't hustle, mister, when you do catch up with Nancy Marshall, you're going to catch up with a corpse. Nothing more.
When I got outside, two things stood out in my mind like a pair of cleats at Carnegie Hall. First, my client's fiancée was not the most innocent dame in greater Los Angeles. And second, I wasn't going to get any place until I could locate the old acquaintance. But then, just as I started for my car, the slouch who had sold me the dirty thumbnail sketch on Jerry Graff came running toward me.
Hey, mister. Did everything work out all right? I was called away on some other business, or I'd have been here waiting.
Waiting for what?
Well, you know, in my game, I now and again give a guy a little more dope than he bargained for, and in that case, I sometimes end up with a bonus, so to speak.
Well, right now, we're about even. But if you can tell me anything about a beautiful brunette whose first name starts with an A, I'll give you a bonus that'll keep you in beer and pretzels from now until the 4th of July.
A name that begins with an A?
Yeah.
Hey, she visited with Graff this morning, maybe?
Yeah, it's possible. Come on, think hard.
She's kind of tall, dresses like $1 million.
That's right. Now, what's her name? Here, look. $20 bill. Her name, what is it?
It's, Yeah, I got it. Adrian Starr, 1312 Lookout Mountain Road.
How do you know that?
It was on the registration card in her car. I took a peek while she... Trouble at Graff's. I'll take my 20. Goodbye.
I beat it up the walk to Graff's, and when I got inside, I found exactly what I expected. Doubled up on the floor in the middle of a lot of oily machine parts and still holding his stomach with both hands was Jerome Graff, a very dead man. I started for a telephone to call Lieutenant Ibarra, but then I noticed something small and gold lying a few feet away from the body. When I picked it up, I saw it was an ornamental buckle, the kind that a lady might wear on a coat. So I decided to skip Lieutenant Ibarra for the time being and call my client instead.
Hello?
This is Marlowe, Riker.
Oh, yes, Marlowe. What is it? What have you found out?
Quite a bit. But first, I've got to know one thing. Does Nancy Marshall have a gold belt buckle?
A gold belt buckle?
Yeah.
Why, yes, she does on her black coat. But what about it, Marlowe? What does it mean?
I'm not sure, Mr. Riker. But it may mean that Nancy Marshall just killed a man.
In just a moment, we will return to the second act of the adventures of Philip Marlowe. But first, by this time, a week from tonight, Jack Benny will have made his first broadcast exclusively on the CBS network. Starting next Sunday, you'll find Jack here with Mary Livingston, Phil Harris, Rochester, Dennis Day, Don Wilson, and all the others who have made the Jack Benny Show a regular Sunday evening delight for millions of Americans. Just for fun, the Jack Benny kind of fun, make a New Year's resolution to hear the Jack Benny Show every Sunday starting a week from tonight, January 2nd, over these same CBS network stations. And now, with our star, Gerald Moore, we return to the second act of Philip Marlowe and tonight's story, The Old Acquaintance.
And I told Paul Riker that the chances were good that his bride-to-be had just knocked off a slot machine operator. My client reacted like I'd kicked him in the stomach. When he caught his breath again, he started telling me I was wrong and didn't stop until I hung up on him. Next thing on the agenda was I called on Lieutenant Ibarra.
Lieutenant Ibarra speaking.
Marlowe again, Lieutenant.
Oh, did you find the owner of that pickup truck, Phil?
Yeah, I found him, Ibarra. I'm calling from his shop now. I had a talk with the guy. It was Jerry Graff.
What do you mean, was Jerry Graff?
Well, somebody came in here and shot him just after I left. He's dead.
Dead?
He knew Steve Doyle all right, but I'm pretty sure Doyle didn't kill him, Ibarra.
No, then who did? Any idea, Marlowe?
Well, looks very much like my client's fiancée, Nancy Marshall. I still don't know where she is or how it all fits together, but look, I got a lead on an old acquaintance of Nancy's named Adrian Starr. She lives up on Lookout Mountain Road. Now, if you don't hear from me in, say, an hour, you might check. Number 1312. That's my next stop.
Okay, just be sure it's not your last stop. Goodbye.
I drove up Laurel Canyon to Lookout Mountain. The only sign of life was a young couple parked where they could look down at the city lights, if they wanted to. I backed into a bushy driveway across from Adrian Starr's bungalow and stopped. It was small, modern, and looked deserted, except for one dim light upstairs. I was about to get out and verify that when a pair of headlights flashed down the road and a yellow convertible swept to a halt in front of the place. It was Adrian Starr who got out. She started up the walk toward her front door, stopped suddenly, and then ran back to her car and drove off again. I kept the yellow convertible in sight. When it turned on Havenhurst and stopped in front of Nancy Marshall's villa, I pulled up in time to see Adrian step inside and close the door. So I followed her.
Marlowe, what do you want?
I want to know what Jerry Graff means to you, Adrian.
I don't know any Jerry Graff, so it means nothing.
Come on, stop it. You went down to his shop to see him this morning. I thought you might like to know that he's dead.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The cops are hungry for anybody who so much as knew his name. Maybe I better come inside and talk it over, don't you think?
Yeah, maybe better. Just a minute.
Thanks. Hey, it's dark. Why don't you turn on more lights?
Because I like it this way.
Okay. But, honey, if you've still got that pearl-handled popcorn of yours, let's leave it out of the conversation. And let's make it straight. Why'd you drop in on Graff this morning?
Because I knew that sooner or later Steve Doyle would head there. I had to know if Steve intended to leave town or was still determined to get his crazy revenge.
And all for Nancy Marshall, huh? You know, you're sticking your neck out quite a ways just for old time's sake, baby. Steve Doyle's a pretty tricky guy to mix with at this point.
You can say that again, fellow.
Steve! Oh, Steve.
Steve Doyle.
That's right. Who are you, mister?
Marlowe, private detective.
Sit down over there, private detective. Keep your hands out of your pockets. I don't like you because you're half cop, but play it smart and you won't get hurt. Well, Adrian, like old home week, huh?
Oh, it's been a long time, Steve.
Yeah, it sure has. Where is she, Adrian? Where's Nancy?
I don't know, Steve.
You're lying to me. This is her place. You got her with a key. You've been down to see Graff. You know where she is, all right. So tell me and tell me fast.
Please, Steve, listen, forget it. Forget about Nancy. This revenge will only get you in the gas chamber. Please, let's get away. We can still make it across the border. Please take me with you. I love you, Steve, just like I always have, even when you threw me over for Nancy.
Shut up. Just tell me where Nancy is. Come on, Adrian.
I don't know, Steve.
Stop it, Doyle.
Where is she?
Steve, you're hurting me.
Doyle.
Don't move, Marlowe. All right, fella, I told you to behave. I've been through a lot, and I'm tired, and I'm running out of time. You're getting in my hair, and that's bad.
Oh, no, Steve, don't.
I won't shoot him. I can't afford the noise. I can give him something just as good. Oh. Now, Adrian, try again. Where's Nancy?
I don't know, Steve.
Come on, where is she?
I don't know.
Where's
Please?
Nancy?
I don't know.
Where's Nancy? Where's Nancy?
I couldn't remember where I was or how long I'd been lying there, but gradually I got the crazy idea that I was being robbed by a very unhappy crook because I was sure that somebody was crying and going through my pockets at the same time. Oh, I tried to open my eyes, but all I could see was a little gold buckle danced back and forth in front of me. When it finally disappeared altogether, I rolled over and hauled myself up onto my knees. And then it all came rushing back to me. I'd been in Nancy Marshall's villa with Steve Doyle and Adrian Starr. Only they were gone now, and I was alone. I heard a car start outside, so I got on my feet and made it along the wall to the door. It was Adrian, and she was behind the wheel of my coupe.
Stay away from me, Marlowe.
Where's Doyle?
He took my car. He's going up to Nancy. I've got to stop him, Marlowe, so get out of the way.
Somehow I managed to jump back just in time to keep from getting a press job with the tread of my own fist tires. And it took 10 minutes of steady concentration to get it through my throbbing head that Adrian had actually stolen my car and was gone. Oh, the cold air must have helped me because one thought led to another, and I finally began to separate the facts from the fancies. I hadn't dreamed all I thought I had. And when I realized that, the whole idea hit me, and hit me hard. I knew that I'd better get out to Lookout Mountain in a hurry. I made it to Sunset, hailed a cab, and collapsed on it.
Where to, mister?
Lookout Mountain Road. Make it fast.
Oh, it's rugged in this crap. 2 years engine, huh?
Here's $10. Does that help? It's important.
Oh, it helps plenty. I know a great shortcut, a new road that's not yet finished. But how are you on bumps?
You more won't matter, pal. Let's go. When it was over, I felt like I'd crossed the country on a pogo stick. But the cab driver was a genius, and with a shortcut, we made the distance to Lookout Mountain in less than 10 minutes. When we got near the place, I sent the cab back down the hill out of danger. Went the rest of the way on foot. As I got within sight of Adrian's bungalow, I saw Steve Doyle getting out of the yellow convertible. I ran up to the house, tried the door. It was locked.
Nancy, where are you? I know you're in there, baby. I'm going to find you about to take this joint apart. You got some old business to settle, remember?
So, wait, Doyle. Drop that gun. Stand still.
Okay, sucker. Go.
You won't need that gun anymore, Doyle. Just kick it over there out of the way.
Someday I'll get you for this fella.
I doubt it, Steve. You're all finished, but you're too thick-headed to see it. Well, I guess it's time to relax and wait for Adrian. And we call the cops, huh?
Adrian just arrived, Marlowe. Don't
What?
turn around or I'll kill you.
Adrian.
There we are, Marlowe. Toss your gun back here to me. Come on now. Better. Oh, Steve. Steve, are you hurt bad, darling? Can you make it to the car?
I'll try, Adrian. Cut me on this side. It's bad.
Oh, Steve, hurry, darling, hurry. I'll be with you in a minute.
I'll make it okay.
Well, Marlowe?
Yeah.
Okay, Adrian.
Tell me one thing first, Marlowe. Did Steve get to Nancy?
No. You killed Graff in time to shut him up, too, huh? So Steve will never know the truth, will he, Adrian? Could be it was you who crossed him and sent him to prison.
You'll never find out. Not now. And you'll never realize how much I love him either. That's why I did it, Marlowe. It was the only way I could hold him for myself. And I was willing to wait. Can you understand that?
Yeah. I guess I can. Too bad a love like yours has to be wasted on a guy like Steve. You'll never get away, honey. Not with him. You'll never make it.
Maybe not. But if he goes out, at least I'll be with him, Marlowe, and that's the way I want it.
Well, if you're going to do anything, Adrian, you better get it over with fast. That siren's a friend of mine. He's coming here.
Adrian!
Coming, Steve. You're a good guy, Marlowe, and a smart one. Just don't follow us, that's all. So long, Marlowe. Happy New Year.
Marlowe, that car just pull out of here. Who was in it?
Steve Doyle and Adrian Starr, Ibarra.
That road makes a horseshoe turn. That'll bring them out down below us there at that junction. I've got one of those streets blocked, but the other one's wide open.
Look, Ibarra, there they are. She's stopping at the crossroad.
Yeah, they've spotted my men down there. She's turning around. They're heading out the other way. She must be crazy, Marlowe. They'll never make that curve at that speed.
They're not slowing down, Ibarra. She's heading straight for that stone wall.
Well, Speed, that's it. It's all over. They're both dead when the boys got to them. Killed instantly. By the way, how's your head feel now? Any better?
I'm okay, Burr.
Did you take care of Nancy Marshall all right?
Yeah, she locked herself upstairs. Sent her home to Paul Riker in the squad car. The driver hurries, they can still be married on New Year's Eve.
You had her pegged as Jerry Graff's killer earlier tonight, Marlowe. What made you change your mind?
Well, I found a gold buckle near Graff's body, Burr. I figured it was a fancy little belt buckle that Nancy had dropped. But I saw exactly the same buckle when I was coming to after Doyle hit me on the head. And it wasn't on a belt, it was on a shoe. Adrian's shoe. It was the mate of the one I'd found.
Once you knew Adrian Starr killed Graff, you put the rest of it together, is that it?
Uh-huh. See, for a price, Graff helped Adrian double-cross Steve. She had to kill him to keep him from talking. She hid Nancy out for the same reason. If she knew that if Steve ever got to Nancy, he'd learn the truth.
I wonder why she didn't kill Nancy, too.
I think she intended to, Ibarra.
And she did it all, really, because she loved the guy too much. Strange deal, Marlowe, right to the end. You know, she didn't have a chance to make that curve down there the way she was driving.
Not even if she wanted to make it, Ibarra.
Yeah. Well, it's 5 minutes to midnight, Phil. Happy New Year, fella. I want to see a lot of you in 1949.
Same to you, Lieutenant. Good night. After Ibarra and the others left, I stayed up on Lookout Mountain and watched the new year come to Los Angeles. A new year. Didn't seem to change things much, at least on the surface. Somewhere down the road, a gang struck up Old Lang Syne. I thought again of Adrian Starr, a girl who loved not wisely, who had called herself an old acquaintance. Yeah, I'd never forget her. As I walked back to my car, the city was ringing out the old and ringing in the new. And I wished then that someplace on everybody's list of resolutions, they'd make room for that cup of kindness they were singing about. And then a guy could say, Happy New Year, and mean it.
The Adventures of Philip Marlowe, created by Raymond Chandler, stars Gerald Moore, and is produced and directed by Norman MacDonald. Script is by Mel Donnelly, Robert Mitchell, and Gene Levitt. Featured in the cast were Gloria Blondell, Edgar Barrier, David Ellis, Lou Krugman, and Stan Waxman. Lieutenant Ibarra was played by Jeff Corey. The special music was by Richard Arant. Be sure and be with us again next week when Philip Marlowe says...
They all knew he was aboard the yacht when it exploded and sank. And everybody called his death an accident. Yeah, that is everybody except the corpse himself. He said it was murder.
An hour of wonderful, delirious comedy is still to come to you tonight on CBS. You'll soon hear Hollywood's Eve Arden starring as the unusual schoolmistress, our Miss Brooks. Later, Lum and Abner will open the doors of the Jot 'em Down store in Pine Ridge, Arkansas, and let you stock up on the last from their never-failing supply of wisdom and good humor. Our Miss Brooks, starring Eve Arden, is heard at 9:30, and Lum and Abner at 10 o'clock, both Eastern Standard Time, over most of these same CBS network stations. This is Roy Rowan speaking for CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Pepsi-Cola, P-E-P-S-I. That's your smartest cola buy. Pepsi-Cola presents Counterspy.
Washington calling David Harding, Counterspy. Washington calling David Harding, Counterspy.
Harding, Counterspy, calling Washington.
United States Counterspies, especially appointed to investigate and combat the enemies of our country, both at home and abroad.
Tonight, the case of the murdering messenger. Another Counterspy report to the American people. Brought to you each Tuesday and Thursday by Pepsi-Cola.
Pepsi-Cola, hits the spot. 2 full glasses, that's a lot.
That's right, you heard what they said. 2 full glasses of sparkling Pepsi from one big 12-ounce bottle. You're getting an extra glassful. And what a delicious glassful. The most refreshing, delightful cola that ever tickled your taste. You can't top Pepsi's tangy flavor. And that big bottle saves you money, goes twice as far. Pepsi's America's big favorite. And America's biggest cola value. So why take less when Pepsi's best? Whenever you reach for refreshment, remember,
why take less when Pepsi is best?
And now, to Counterspy. In espionage, the penalty for mistakes is death. Every member of the guilty spy ring is doomed by its faraway superiors. Yet the sentence is rarely carried out by direct means. The watchwords are concealment and mystery. In the city of Detroit, a small branch library stands in a quiet side street. One morning, a young man with eyes alert entered the building and went to the main reading room.
Excuse me, miss.
Yes, sir?
I want to turn this book in.
Julius Caesar's Commentaries. In the original Latin.
Yes.
You're quite a student, Mr. Argyle.
Caesar was quite a boy.
Are you taking out another book?
No, I'm leaving Detroit very soon. Goodbye, and thanks a lot.
Goodbye, Mr. Argyle.
I beg your pardon.
Yes, sir?
I was looking on the shelves for Julius Caesar's Commentaries, but it doesn't seem to be there.
No, it's right here. Our only copy was just returned a moment ago. Do you want to take it out?
Yes, please. Here's my library card. Harry J. Peters. From Peters, Counterspy Field Office, Detroit, to David Harding, Washington. I've just received coded report from Counterspy George Argyle, operating undercover inside foreign spy ring in United States. Code used, alternate word and line transposition. What are your orders?
Peters, have message decoded in Detroit and hold there. I'm flying Detroit immediately.
Mr. Harding, this is the original message Argyle left for me in the library book, disguised as a letter home.
Thanks, David. Still addresses me as Aunt Bessie.
Here's the decoded transcript, Aunt Bessie.
Thanks, Tim. Dear Mr. Harding, trouble ahead. Last night, the only man in the spy ring I ever saw was killed in a car smash out on Woodward Avenue. A fake accident.
There was an accident, David. A man was killed.
What's more, I've been ordered to leave my job in the turbojet factory here and go to Memphis, Tennessee. I think the superiors of the spy ring now realize that someone has fed them nothing but false information for a year. I don't believe they know I was the one, but evidently all members of the ring are to be moved around.
Oh, fine.
Yeah, I don't like that either, Peters. We still don't know who the other members of the ring are.
It may be getting dangerous. Want to pull Argyle out?
And lose 3 years of our work and preparation? Still, I don't want Argyle to be left entirely alone in Memphis.
Is Aunt Bessie worried?
Definitely. Argyle adds here that he'll be at the Hotel Lee. Peters, brush up on your southern accent. You're going to be there, too.
Argyle?
Yes?
I'm the hotel fire inspector.
Oh, come in. Good to see you, Peters.
Any news, Argyle?
I got this postcard today.
From the Southern Beauty Tourist Bureau, Memphis.
Mm-hmm.
Guided tours of historic Southland. See monuments and battlegrounds of the war between the states. Special feature, visit the High Mountain Caves.
You'll notice that last one is circled in red ink, the High Mountain Caves. And notice here in the schedule of tours...
Yes. Another circle of red ink around the date Thursday, 5 p.m.
Obviously, that's when my next contact with the spy ring is to be made.
Well, look, Argyle, I'd better join the group, too.
I think that'll be too risky, Peters. Those tourist groups aren't very large. Whoever the contact is will take a good look at everybody.
Well, how are you to be recognized?
My name is known to the ring. I'll simply give it when I buy my ticket for the tour. Then I'll just wait and see what happens.
Now, folks, we're pretty near finished our tour, the famous High Mountain Cave. Scene of beauty with the stalactites and stalagmites. Kind of scary, too. One more little demonstration before we step outside again into our lovely southern evening. This here underground river we've been following from one of these caves to another ends right here, you see, in a deep well or chasm. Leave me tell you, the fellow that falls down here ain't never coming up. You see this rock? I'm going to drop it down. Now, you have to listen hard to hear the splash. Ready? There she goes. Well, that was that. Now, if you'll be so good as to step to the exit there, the bus will return us to Memphis and to your hotels. Let's see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Excuse me, folks. Wait out there just a minute. One of our members seems to be missing here. I'll locate it. I'll be right out here. Hey, mister. Mister? Hey, there you are. Help, please.
Good heavens, my friend. You've been stabbed.
Guide, get me to a doctor, quick.
But the knife.
Don't pull it out, dude.
But I must. Otherwise, how can I finish you off for good?
That's right, Mr. Harding, and it was my fault. I should have gone right with Argyle, no matter what he said.
Oh, now, don't blame yourself, Peters. You took every reasonable precaution. How are the police handling the case?
All members of the tour have been questioned except the guide. He's disappeared, so he must have been the murderer.
Peters, in my opinion, this spy ring isn't just being moved around. It's being wiped out.
Well, Dave, there's one way to make sure. Let me take Argyle's place.
That's a good idea, but how?
First, to squib in the papers that Argyle was only wounded. Second, I'll enter a hospital under his name.
The murderer will make another try, Peters.
All right, let him, Dave. That's exactly what we want.
Nurse, you said Mr. Argyle had this here room?
Go right in, sir.
Mr. Argyle, how fortunate you were to have lost nothing but a little blood. May I sit down by your bed? I was about to visit you at your hotel, Mr. Argyle, when I read in the papers of the attempt on your life in the High Mountain Cave. So I came straight here to the hospital. I'm surprised, if I may say so, to find you alive, receiving visitors.
It was only a flesh wound, Mr.
Forgive me, Mr. Argyle. My name is Anthony Blix, B-L-I-X, the Tri-State Travel Agency. The reason I was so anxious to see you was to give you this, your river steamship ticket from Memphis to New Orleans. The one you ordered through our office?
Oh, yes, of course.
The boat leaves on Tuesday, Mr. Argyle. Will you be able to travel me?
I think so, if I take it easy.
I'm delighted.
Will I be seeing you again, Mr. Blix?
The world is growing so small, Mr. Argyle, I wouldn't be at all surprised. Oh, by the way, we were unable to get you a cabin entirely to yourself. I'm sorry to say you'll have a cabin mate. Goodbye.
To Aunt Bessie from Nephew Argyle. First contact made. Anthony Blix of Tri-State Travel Agency, Memphis. Next contact may be somebody on riverboat to New Orleans.
Thank you, Stuart. Put my suitcase down here. Then you may go. I beg your pardon?
Good morning.
What are you doing in this cabin?
My ticket says I was booked in here.
Why are you lying down? Are you ill?
I'm recovering from an accident.
It's ridiculous.
There was nothing ridiculous about it.
I mean, you're being booked into this cabin when I was booked in here, too.
Obviously a mistake.
Obviously.
I'll have myself moved right
No. It's easier for me. You're halfway settled already. I'll ring for the steward.
Button's right here.
Thank you. I'm sorry, Mr.
Argyle.
Argyle. Well, I'm sorry I was angry. My name is Valerie Arden. Are you going to stay in New Orleans after we get there?
That's hard to say. How about you?
I live in New Orleans, Mr. Argyle, even though I'm English. Listen, Argyle, I have your next instructions.
Yes?
On reaching New Orleans, you're to see a man named Avery L. Clark, River Road, number 821.
Yes.
Tell him I sent you and say that you're applying for the job he has open in Los Angeles. Clear?
Clear. There's the steward.
Just a minute, steward. Well, Mr. Argyle, I do hope your fever's better.
It was a knife wound, Miss Arden.
A knife? Good gracious, if I had to kill anyone, I'd use poison or a gun, wouldn't you? Knives are so uncertain, aren't they?
To Aunt Bessie from Nephew Argyle. Boat contact made by one Valerie Arden. Next contact in New Orleans. Avery L. Clark, 821 River Road.
To Argyle from Aunt Bessie. On arriving New Orleans, register Hotel Esplanade. You will be given room 484. I will be there with Lieutenant Fabian of New Orleans Police. See you tonight.
Nice to know you, Peters, or Argyle. Which is it?
Peters will be safe, Lieutenant Fabian, in this hotel room anyway. Any news, Mr. Harding?
Well, I've ordered a complete checkup on that man Blix back in Memphis, Peters. I expect a report very soon.
About Valerie Arden, Peters. She really lives here in New Orleans, runs a high-toned gift shop. About Avery L. Clark, all we know is that he's in the sugar business.
Well, Dave, Valerie Arden said I'm to talk to Clark about going to Los Angeles.
Well, I think that's just talk, Peters. I'm pretty sure now that every member of this spy ring is marked for death by its own employers abroad. Clark may try to kill you.
I'll have to take that chance, Dave.
Peters, did either Blix or the woman act like they suspected you're not the real Argyle?
No, Lieutenant. But the guide who murdered Argyle in the caves would know I'm not the right man.
Well, that's the big risk, Peters. The Blix and the girl have somehow been warned by the murderer, or just leading you on. Now, when are you to see Clark?
The longer I wait, the bigger the risk. I think I'll go right now. 821 River Road.
Well, what is it? What is it? Well, don't stand there on the porch gaping.
I'm sorry. May I ask who you are?
I'm Mr. Clark's housekeeper. Come from Oklahoma, and I don't like New Orleans, and I don't like the riffraff that comes to see Mr. Clark. See him you want to see, I guess.
Yes. My name's Argyle.
Well, come in, young man, but don't expect me to announce you. He's in the living room. You can go right in and announce yourself.
All right, thank you.
And tell him not to ring for drinks because I got the baking to do.
Mr. Clark?
Yes?
My name's Argyle.
Come in.
I met a Valerie Arden on the boat from Memphis. She says you need a man for a job in Los Angeles.
Yeah, gal. Somebody's trying to wipe us out. They tried to get you in Memphis, didn't they? You see? First you, now me.
You? Do you know who's trying it?
What individual? No. But death for everybody. That's the High Command's way of punishing failures. Look at that double window behind me.
One pane is broken.
3 bullets did it 10 minutes ago. Those 3 bullets are now in my back.
What?
Yeah.
You need a doctor.
That's no use. I'm going to die. Whether you're my friend or my enemy, Argyle, never sit with your back to a window. Now you better get out of here. You'll be caught for my murder.
Clark.
Say, Mr. Clark, about the bacon, I got to say you. What's the matter with him?
He's dead. He was murdered.
Murdered? Oh! He's all blood. You murdered him, you riffraff. You murdered him.
No, I didn't. Listen, I want you to call the police.
Me, if you didn't kill him, why don't you call them? Where are you going?
I'm getting out of here.
Getting out? You murdering riffraff? But you won't get away with murder. I'm calling the police, and I'm shouting from the housetops. You murdering riffraff? They'll catch you! They'll catch you!
Hey, you.
What?
You're under arrest, buddy. There was a murder. You under arrest.
Are you the police?
Yeah, me and my friend here. Come on.
Where?
We got a car. Come on, snap it.
I'd like to see your credentials.
Credentials?
Papers to prove you're police.
Sure. Hey, Bang, show him, what do you call them, credentials? There's our credentials, buddy. Come on, Bing, we're taking this your guy for a ride.
Back to Counterspy in just a moment. But first...
Pepsi-Cola hits the spot. 2 full glasses, that's a lot. Lots more value, lots more zest. Why take less when Pepsi's best?
More and more, among fellows and girls, among mothers and dads, you hear that sane and sensible question, why take less when Pepsi's best? No budget, no allowance ever had a better friend than tangy, sparkling Pepsi-Cola. Because one big 12-ounce Pepsi bottle gives you 2 delicious drinks. That's twice as much tangy taste, twice as much delicious Pepsi, to go just twice as far. That's why more and more families say, why take less when Pepsi's best? Yes, families like yours and mine, families all over America, they're all saying, why take less when Pepsi's best?
Pepsi-Cola so delicious, and each bottle makes 2 drinks. It is certainly the cola for the purchaser who thinks everybody's drinking Pepsi. Just compare it with the rest. So much more and so much finer. Why take less when Pepsi's best?
Today, tomorrow, always. Get America's biggest cola value. Take home a carton of 6 big Pepsi bottles. Insist on Pepsi at the store. And say Pepsi at the fountain. Say Pepsi at the stand. Say Pepsi. Whenever you reach for refreshment, remember,
why take less when Pepsi's best?
And now, back to Counterspy. It is late night on the shores of Lake Pontchartrain outside New Orleans. A house with all blinds shut stands secluded behind a grove of cypress trees. And inside the lonely house...
Well, Mr. Argyle, I must say you took a long time to recover your senses.
Oh, Miss Valerie Odd. Were you the one who hit me on the head?
Good gracious, no, Mr. Argyle. That was Bing. For your information, we're in my house, and both Bing and George are in the very next room.
That's interesting.
I brought along some brandy. I thought you might need it.
How about you?
Oh, I don't need a drink. I haven't committed a murder.
Meaning Clark, hmm? Who did it?
You?
Me? You know better than that. Your men must have been watching.
Clark's housekeeper said you did it.
So you grabbed her, too. You work fast.
I couldn't afford to have her screeching all over New Orleans.
Neither could I.
Until I was sure her screeching was useful.
Useful?
You're a counter-spy, aren't you, Mr. Argyle?
If I were a counter-spy, I wouldn't have shot Clark. I'd have arrested him, wouldn't I? Clark told me somebody was trying to wipe all of us out. Is that you?
He's crazy.
Not anymore. He's dead.
What? It's a wild idea. It's absolutely fantastic.
Who's next? Blix?
You saw Blix in Memphis, didn't you?
In the hospital, yes. But you were in Memphis, too. You could have arranged my little knifing. You could have shot Clark tonight.
Mr. Argyle, I think I will have some brandy.
With pleasure.
Thank you.
You're really scared, aren't you? So I guess it's not you who's trying to wipe us out. It's Blix.
Mr. Argyle, why couldn't you be the one sent out from the Home Office to get rid of us all?
If I were, why would I have stabbed myself back in that Tennessee cave?
Wounds can be faked. Where were you knifed?
Here, in the side.
Right there?
Oh. It's really tried to hit me there.
I've made sure you were knifed.
Yes, haven't you? That knocks out your theory of my being the official killer.
But not of your being a counter-spy. Maybe you could fool Blix alone, or me alone. But not the two of us together. Suppose we settle that now. Tonight.
How? Blix is way up in Memphis.
Oh, no. He arrived here in New Orleans this morning, and in a few minutes he can be here, and we can find out whether he murdered Clark. And whether or not you're a counter-spy. I shall phone him, Mr. Argyle. Meantime, have another drink, won't you?
Harding speaking. Go ahead.
Lieutenant Fabian, Mr. Harding, I got bad news.
Let's hear it, Lieutenant.
We saw Peters come out of Clark's house fast. But before he could reach us, two men grabbed him and took him away in a car.
Did you follow?
Oh, we lost him on the turn, Mr. Harding, so we went back to the house and found Clark shot to death. You any idea where Peters is?
No. But I'm on my way to your headquarters with a report on Blix from Memphis. He was the one who abducted the real guide in the caves, took his place, and murdered Argyle.
But Blix knows Peters is not Argyle. It's lucky they caught him in Memphis.
They didn't catch him in Memphis, Lieutenant. He's probably here in New Orleans right now. And he's the one who knows that Peters is a plant. We've got to find him and stay close to him, or Peters won't live out the night. My dear Valerie, how exquisite you look, as always.
Hello, Blix. We've been waiting for you.
And Mr. Argyle, as I suggested in Memphis, it is a small world, isn't it?
And getting smaller.
Blix, something's gone seriously wrong among us. Clark was killed earlier tonight.
Oh?
Perhaps because he'd become too expensive. Like you, Blix. And me. And Mr. Argyle.
I wasn't aware that Mr. Argyle was so expensive.
He is. If he's really a counter-spy.
She's crazy.
Blix, you ought to know. You saw Argyle in Memphis. He is a counter-spy. Bing and George are handy. They can take care of him tonight.
Valerie, you're being ridiculous. I trust Mr. Argyle as much as I trust you.
And how much is that? If Argyle's to be trusted, then who tried to kill him? Who murdered Clark? Blix, have you been sent here to get rid of us all?
Valerie.
What?
I heard a car outside. Where are your men?
In the front room. What?
Go and ask them about the car.
But...
Please trust me, Valerie. Go and see it.
Very well.
Listen, Argyle, don't waste a second. Both our lives depend on it. I know you're not really Argyle. I've known it since I saw you in the hospital in Memphis. I realized then that my game was up, so I sent you along to meet Valerie and Clark purposely, as evidence of my goodwill. You are a counter-spy, aren't you?
What if I weren't?
I'm ready to tell you everything you want to know about the spy group in exchange for your letting me go free.
So you're the man sent out to wipe out this group?
The information the real Argyle sent us turned out all wrong. All of us are supposed to pay for that.
You don't add up, Blix. If you've been betraying your own friends by exposing Valerie Arden and Clark to me, why did you murder Clark?
A shrewd question, Mr. Argyle, or whatever your real name is. Frankly, I thought it best at the last moment to make myself look good, both to my own people at home and to you. Whatever happened, I'd have a good story to tell.
Smart boy.
Now, if you're really a counter-spy, to let me go free, I can save us both from this woman. Those two plugger's. If not, I'll have to kill you. Now.
Did you really hear a car outside?
Of course not. What's your answer?
I'm sure I heard a car. Maybe two.
You're evading my question, Mr. Argyle. That means that you're not a counter-spy. Yes, I see I've made a mistake. That's easily corrected with a gun.
Drop your gun, Blix. The house is surrounded.
What? Drop it, Blix!
Got it, Mr. Harding. Sorry. That was so close, Peter.
It's all right now. How about the woman?
Lieutenant Fabian, these men are out front. They've already got her and her two gunmen. And here we've got the murderer of Argyle and of Clark, haven't we?
Mr. Harding, you mistake me. I just made an important offer to this gentleman here. A full report.
Blix, I'll make you an offer. You give us that full report, and we'll see that it reaches the government that employed you. They wanted this ring wiped out. Now you can report complete success with some help from the counter-spies.
When your friends drop in, be generous, but be thrifty, too. Serve plenty of delicious Pepsi-Cola. Pepsi's big 12-ounce bottle gives you not just one sparkling glassful, but two. Get a carton of 6 and serve 12 delicious drinks. Yes, Pepsi is America's biggest cola value. You get twice the tangy taste, twice the refreshment, twice the Pepsi. So why take less when Pepsi is best? Whenever you reach for refreshment, remember,
Pepsi-Cola, it's a spot. 2 full glasses, that's a lot. Lot more value, lot more zest. Why take less when Pepsi's best?
Tune in every Tuesday and Thursday, same time, same station to Counterspy. Listen next Tuesday for the exciting Counterspy case of a cold-blooded professor.
The secret cellar that hid the mysterious inventions of a calculating killer. The dark patches on the square film that indicated the suspect would visit a certain type of store. And the hit-and-run victim who used a leg hook and kick to catch the carrier of vitriolic acid off guard. That's next Tuesday's Counterspy. Make sure to tune in to
Case of a Cold-Blooded Killer on Counterspy. Tonight's Counterspy program originated in New York, was directed by William M. Sweets, and featured Don McLaughlin and Mandel Kramer, with music by Jesse Crawford. Counterspy is a Phillips H. Lord production for Pepsi-Cola. Enjoy some Pepsi, ice cold tonight.
Crime Does Not Pay.
Sure, I like you a lot, Happy. I like the way you laugh all the time, too.
Yeah? I like to laugh. I have fun. Lots of it.
I don't think your kind of fun is nice fun, though, Happy.
What gave you that idea, baby?
It's your eyes, Happy. You don't laugh in your eyes.
You'll get used to me, baby. You'll have to. On account of you saw me in Cottonmouth with the rifle, see?
But you said it was for hunting.
Sure it was for hunting, sugar. You don't think that jerk across the street just dropped dead, do you? From lead poisoning, maybe?
In the interest of good citizenship and law enforcement, we present Crime Does Not Pay, based on the famous Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer series of short subjects. In just a moment, you will hear Death on the Doorstep, starring Donald Curtis. Now, Crime Does Not Pay, starring Donald Curtis as Happy Dick Davis in Death on the Doorstep. The workings of organized crime are far more complicated than most people realize. Not only is the nation divided into districts, each with its own administration, but the large cities are split up that way as well. And any boss in any district may request help at a price, of course, from any other boss to settle his present difficulties. That's how it happened that Happy Dick Davis, specialist in executions, went south for the winter. Happy took the train he felt flying was too risky for himself. And in due course, he was met at the station and driven to the local headquarters.
Here he is, boss. Happy Dick Davis himself. In person.
As ordered, boss. As ordered.
Glad to see you, Happy. Sit down. Smoke?
Don't mind if I do.
Start talking, Happy. How do you operate?
Depend.
On what?
Situation. If I can get in close, I like to use a piece of sash cord. For distance, I like a rifle with a telescopic sight.
Kind of noisy, a rifle.
Not with a silencer, it ain't.
I told you, boss. What a man.
Thanks.
What's your plan for here?
Who's the character you want?
Name Cedar Stone. Stooley.
Stoolies die slow up north.
And we got no time. This bummer's talking our best men into a 10-year rap. Federal, too. He's got to go. And quick.
Who's the finger man?
Cotton here. Give it.
Okay. Your pal C.D. Handy?
Cotton?
I know where to find him.
Okay. Let's ride. One thing, though.
Yep.
Why'd you send for me?
Not that it's any of your business, but we wanted somebody from out of town. All my trigger boys are shacked up with perfect alibis this minute. They're staying that way until the job is done.
Telephone them, boss. Tell them they can come out of the woodwork tonight. Not much of a town you got here, Cottonmouth.
We do all right. 40,000 folks. 13 schools, 4 movies, 2 libraries, and 87 churches.
What for, all them churches?
Nothing else to do Sundays is all.
What do you do for fun?
We'll show you when the job's done.
It ain't gonna get done walking the streets like this.
CD hangs out in a couple of these pool rooms. He'll be out along soon.
Oh. Why do they call you Cottonmouth?
The cottonmouth is the snake with the most poison in the swamps around here. Figure for yourself.
I get it. Look, if I'm supposed to do this job alone, are you going to tag along after we find this jerk?
Yep.
What for?
Boss's orders.
Why?
He said you laugh too much.
You guys don't trust nobody, do you?
Nope.
Uh-huh. What about your alibi?
Airtight. She'll swear on a stack I was with her. Sure wish it was true.
Tomorrow night. That's a promise.
Thanks, pal. You know, one of these days I'm going to marry that dame. Hey, look at that.
Huh?
Seedy.
Which one?
In the cap. Casing the move.
I see. Kind of scrawny. Shouldn't be no trouble.
Oh, he's going inside. He's going to the movies.
Come on.
Hey, you going after him in there?
Yeah, I want to blow this dump. All them churches must have funeral parlors attached.
But the joint will be packed. They got a western.
All the better. I'll get him with the rope, and we'll get out before anybody knows nothing. After they find him, it'll be a mob scene. Nobody will remember nothing.
Brother, you sure know your business.
Yep, that's why the price is high.
How many did you wish, please?
2, baby. You for me, and a friend of yours for a friend of mine.
How many tickets, big boy?
So did I, till I caught the looks in your lamps, kid.
Say, you must be from out of town.
How'd you guess?
Hey, if we're going in, Happy, we better get
My friend here's afraid he missed the shooting.
Here you are. 70 cents, please. Thank you, sir.
Don't mention it. 70 cents for 2. Cheap down here. Come on, Cotton. Did you see your pal, Seedy? Looking at the cheesecake and the pictures in the lobby here? He just went in this minute. Come on. 2 tickets, right here.
There he is. Turn down the aisle. Hey, that's me. He's sitting on the aisle in the last row.
Is it? How can I reach him with the rope? Why did they build these walls back at the last row?
Keeps out drafts, I guess. What do we do, Happy? Wait till he comes out?
No. I want to get this job over with. Hey, that ought to do it.
What ought to do it?
A fire axe. There on the wall. Hold everything.
Hey, Happy, don't try it.
Nice heft to this. 1 clunk and boom.
Happy, if you miss.
I ain't gonna miss. Now watch this. This is gonna be a cinch.
Hap, look out. He's getting up.
Oh, for the love of Mike.
The dope must have seen another seat down front.
Yeah, of course. All my life I wanted to do a job with a fire axe, and now the jerk has to be a movie house seat jumper.
Oh, you didn't get him. This time.
Right. First time I ever had anything like that happen to me. This job must be a hoodoo.
Could happen to anybody, Hap. You work out of this world. You don't miss a trick.
But I'll miss my train if I keep shooting the breeze.
Train? What train, my friend?
Next train, north. Sorry, boss.
I paid good money for this job.
You'll get a refund. My outfit guarantees delivery or your money back.
I told you I wanted this thing taken care of now. City's got to be put away.
Not by me.
By you.
Any ideas on how?
I have. Now, never mind your newfangled ideas. Cottonmouth will get you a car. You can park in front of Cedar's rooming house and let him have it first thing in the morning. If you haven't got a piece, I'll give you one.
No cowboy jobs for me. Too many things can happen.
Cowboy jobs?
Yeah. Fire away, car in gear, take the corner on 2 wheels. Hi-oh, silver. Not me. No cowboy jobs. That's out.
You got a better idea, son?
Sure I have. What's across the street from Seedy's place?
Another rooming house? What else?
Good enough. If we can't get a front room, we'll use the roof. You see, pals, my favorite piece of luggage for a trip like this is the sweetest Springfield 3030 you ever saw, complete with telescopic sight and silencer.
Hello, Mr. Davis.
Hiya, kid.
My name's Selma. I told you that, Mr. Davis.
Yeah, and mine's Happy. I told you that.
I know.
And why don't you use it, baby? Stop being so formal.
My ma always told me to call a man friend Mister. It's more polite.
Didn't your mother ever tell you about coming into a fellow's room by yourself and closing the door?
Ma tells me about that every day. But you're not just a roomer, Happy. You're from New York.
Come here, baby. How old are you, Selma, baby?
21. Why?
Well, because, kid, it's a rule up where I come from that you always ask the landlady's daughter her age before you kiss her. Like this.
Oh, Happy. I'm so happy.
That's me, kid. Happy makes him happy, coast to coast. You know, kid, This is about the best layout I ever volunteered for.
Volunteered for?
Didn't I tell you? The firm I work for always gives us salesmen a chance to volunteer for a tough territory to show how good we are. We make good, we get a bonus. I usually volunteer, and sister, you ought to see my bank account.
Well, if you're a salesman, why do you stay here all day and play with that rifle?
Just waiting for my customers. And thought maybe I'd get a little hunting in.
Oh, it's late for the season now.
I like to case the explore territory, that is. Give us another kiss, baby.
Ma says I should always watch my step.
Oh, she does, huh?
What's that funny thing on the end of your rifle?
Oh, that's a recoil stopper, like they have on tank guns during the war. Saves my shoulder from the recoil.
That must be a mighty powerful rifle, Happy. Tell me about rabbits, maybe a deer.
Oh, beg your pardon, miss.
Oh, that's perfectly all right.
How are you, Mr. Jackson? Happy to see you so soon. Selma, this is the customer I was telling you about.
Oh, well, excuse me. Ma'll be wondering anyhow. Happy to know you, Mr. Jackson.
Same here, miss. Who's the dame?
Landlady's daughter. Well, what's cooking?
He'll be out in a minute. Was up on his landing. Heard him tell his wife he needed cigarettes, so I came right over.
Great. Now, the windowsill makes a perfect rest for the rifle.
Where do you want me, Happy?
On my left and behind. Where you can see, but you won't get in my way.
Okay here?
Okay. Perfect. The telescope puts that doorway right in this room. That him?
No. Not yet.
Huh?
That's him, Happy.
That's his last cigarette he's lighting. Like the top sergeant says, squeeze the trigger.
Out of this world, Happy. Beautiful. Boy, ain't a silence or something?
Yep, clean. Right between the eyes. Come on, Cottonmouth. Let's blow. The back way. This neighborhood ain't going to be healthy for us in about 10 minutes.
In just a moment, Crime Does Not Pay will continue with Death on the Doorstep. Now we continue with Crime Does Not Pay, starring Donald Curtis as Happy Davis in Death on the Doorstep. A man quietly and silently dead in a doorway attracts much less attention than one would believe. Happy Davis knew this and took full advantage of it. Thus, Happy and Cottonmouth were safely and gaily celebrating their achievement in the big shot's quarters by the time the first sirens announced the arrival of the police at the scene of the crime. And it was almost 3/4 of an hour after C.D.'s death that Sergeant Taylor of the local homicide squad straightened up from bending over the body and
get
said,
back there. Come on, get back.
All right, Hall. Guess we've done about everything we can at this point.
Looks like it, Sergeant.
Simpson?
Yes, sir.
Got good, clean prints from the body?
Yes, sir, but there's no doubt of it. He's C.D. Stone, all right. Another stoolie they caught up with.
There are plenty more where C.D. came from, but we can't let him get away with this. They'll feel too free with the others, so we got work to do.
No weapons around here. I got the boys checking sewer gratings up and down the street. Sure a neat job. One hole right between the eyes.
I wonder now. From the way he fell, he was facing the street.
Usual finger job. He came out of the house, stopped on the doorstep. He was pointed out. They let him have it. Off they go. Any stolen cars been reported since yesterday?
Anybody around here noticed a car or hear a shot?
Checked. Not even a backfire.
Now look at the position of the wound. Above the bridge of the nose.
Yeah.
Now, how'd they get him there? If they fired from street level, while he was standing here, 4 steps up.
Maybe from the side.
No, not a chance. Directly from in front.
So, they walked up to him first.
No. Give me a hand here. Lift him up. Okay. There, that's it. Now face him out toward the street.
This way?
Yeah. Now, you see what I mean? The angle was down. He was shot from above.
Uh-huh. Airplanes now?
Okay, put them down. Let the meat wagon have it. I think we're going visiting. Across the street. See what I mean, Hall? Vacancy. Somebody's moved out.
Yes, sir.
Your sign says vacancy.
Yes, sir.
You the landlady?
No, sir, my mother is. She's out.
Can we see the room?
Well, it's just a double.
Only two of us here, miss. My friend Simpson here has a place to stay.
All right, you can come in. It's the third floor front.
Third floor front.
This room been vacant long?
No, sir, just about an hour. Not even cleaned up yet.
Hey, what a break.
Oh, that won't bother us. You notice the excitement across the street, miss?
No, I didn't. I got so mad the fellas had the room. They left a week's rent on the bureau and beat it. Didn't even say goodbye. Anything happened?
Yeah. Somebody got shot right across the street.
Of all things. Person's life isn't safe anywhere these days.
Oh, this person knew he was taking chances.
This is the room.
Thank you, ma'am. Want to look it over, fellas?
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Not a bad view. Front room and everything. You see, miss?
What?
They're taking the body away now.
It's too bad the room was left. They'd have seen everything.
Yes, wouldn't they? And very neat, were they? Cigarette butts on the floor and all.
Sergeant, found this right near the window.
Looks like we picked the right place.
What? That's a bullet.
No, it's a shell, miss.
Well, Happy had a rifle here with a funny thing on the end. He said it was a shock absorber or something.
Silence, sir.
Yeah, must have been.
You don't want to rent this room. You're cops.
Yes, miss. Sergeant Taylor, homicide. It's Detective Hall, Detective Simpson.
How do you do, miss?
Apparently, the man who was killed across the street was shot from up here.
Oh, no.
Did you know this, Happy well?
Well enough.
Local fella?
Well, his friend, Mr. Jackson, sounded like he came around here, but Happy, he came from New York. He told me.
Well, look, miss, I have an idea. You don't have to play along if you don't want to. I have a hunch you'll be interested. Now, you listen closely.
You couldn't know how neat it was. See these stops on the stoop. See, like a cigarette. That's all. Right between the eyes.
Sure you got away clean?
Clean as a whistle.
Good. Back perfect. I got a little something for you, Happy. Sort of a bonus.
Oh.
A G-note for yourself.
Hey, that's all right. Some jobs are worth volunteering for.
You gonna take the night train, Happy?
Well, you might as well. I'll let your boss know what a great job you did.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe I'll stick around a few days.
Hey, it's the dame, boss.
What dame?
The landlady's daughter.
That sort of thing ain't safe, Happy. Dames is poison, south or north.
That babe don't know from nothing. Except that a fellow from New York is different. Well, he talks different, anyhow.
Well, so can she.
Don't worry, boss. Say, can I use the phone?
Well, you're on your own now. Go on. Help yourself.
Thanks. You know, can't get used to dialing only 4 numbers. New York, we got 7.
Hello?
Hi, Selma.
Oh, it's you.
Surprise, baby.
You walked out awful quick, Happy.
I come into some money awful quick. How's about helping me get rid of it tonight?
You mean dancing, maybe?
Nothing else but. Pick you up, say, 8 o'clock?
8? All right, honey, I'll be ready and waiting. Bye.
See you later, kid. See what I mean, fellas? Talk different, and a dame is a lead pipe cinch.
This sure is a smooth car, Happy. So big. I saw one like it in a movie.
Yeah, Hollywood's full of them.
Why are you stopping, Happy?
I got to park. According to the rule, when you're out with a prick like you got to park.
Oh, Happy, you're so funny sometimes.
Only sometimes.
Most of the time.
Sure is quiet out here. Not like the big town. Want to go to New York, Selma?
Me? New York? Who wouldn't?
Want to go with me?
So you can walk out on me like you did this morning?
I came back for you, didn't I?
Uh-huh. But next time, maybe you wouldn't come back.
What's the matter, baby? Don't you like me?
Oh, sure. Sure, I like you a lot, Happy. I like the way you laugh all the time, too.
So I like to laugh. I have fun. Lots of it.
I don't think your kind of fun is nice fun, Happy.
What gave you that idea, babe?
It's your eyes, Happy. You don't laugh in your eyes.
You'll get used to me, baby. Sure you will. You'll have to. On account of you saw me in Cottonmouth with a rifle, see?
But you said it was for hunting.
Sure it was for hunting, sugar. You don't think that jerk across the street just dropped dead, do you? From lead poisoning, maybe?
But I don't understand, Happy. Honest, I don't.
I'll draw you a diagram, kid. You got two choices, see? You can come with me and have fun, or you can stay here, permanent.
Could I maybe have just a little time?
Sure. Take all the time you want until tomorrow night. I'm going north on the night train, so you figure all you want and have your bag packed when I come for you.
But, Happy,
That's the picture, kid. And it don't need no frame around it.
Just a minute. Happy, you did come back.
Told you I would, baby. Ready for the big town, sugar?
Well, I'll come on in the parlor, will you, Happy?
Okay, kid. Only make it snappy. We got 40 minutes to the train. You ought to be darn glad you're getting away from the rubber plants and the doilies, sister.
Happy, I just don't know. That is, I'm not going with you.
You nuts or something?
I'm staying here.
That's the way you want it, huh?
Well, I can't leave my mother alone. Happy!
What's the matter, baby? It's only a piece of sash cord.
I know.
You want to stay here? Okay, you stay. This burg's dead as a doornail anyway. You might as well stay here dead as alive.
That goes for you too, Happy. Take him, man.
What is it? Hey, take your hands off me. Oh, you ain't got nothing on me. Shut up.
You heard him, Davis. You'll hear plenty before we're through.
I want a mouthpiece. You can't hold me.
Oh, can't we? I think can.
What charge, Flatfoot? What charge?
Keep a civil tongue in your head. You're charged with plenty. Murder of Stevie Stone, the attempted murder of this girl here.
You can't prove a thing.
We can prove the works, Davis. Cottonmouth is singing his head off. We traced a $1,000 bill you changed at the hotel this morning straight to the boss, and he's locked up, too. We got your prints and Cottonmouth's from the room upstairs. We picked up your luggage from the check room at the station, your rifle included, complete with fingerprints. We got the shell you fired and the bullet. Can't prove anything, Davis? We got enough to fry you twice. But once will be quite enough. It usually is, in my experience.
Crime does not pay.
Donald Curtis, who was starred as Happy Dick Davis in Death on the Doorstep, will be back with you in just a moment. Now, here in person is Donald Curtis.
It's apparent to my thinking, and as we have demonstrated, that even cool calculating killers like Happy Davis are weak on the long run. But that run doesn't have to be long. It can be cut very short by courage and clear thinking of everyday citizens. Once they realize that organized crime feeds only on the indolence and carelessness of people like you and me. Think that through. and you'll understand that in our hands rests proof that crime does not pay.
Thank you. Crime Does Not Pay is written by Ira Marion and directed by Mark B. Loeb, with music composed and conducted by John Gart. Technical advisor is Burton B. Turtis. The events, characters, and names used in the story you've just heard are fictitious. Any similarity is purely coincidental.
And now, Great Nuts, the heart of your BEB, presents Gangbusters.
Gangbusters, presented in cooperation with police and federal law enforcement departments throughout the United States. The only national program that brings you authentic police case history.
Hey, mister, you sitting in front of your radio, and you, madam, do you feel droopy in the morning? Wouldn't you rather feel on your toes, full of zip, and ready to go?
Hey, who wouldn't?
Then what you need is BEB.
BEB, 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 wow!
And the best BEB includes Great Nuts.
Gangbusters presents the case of the surprise Safecrackers who looked for an easy fortune in stolen cash, but who didn't know that vigilant police officers had a preview of everything they plotted.
Gangbusters is happy to return to the Columbia Broadcasting System, where it started the first of its 565 broadcasts exactly 13 years ago. During the past few days, scores of telegrams and letters have been received wishing Gangbusters continued success in the part it plays in dramatizing the war against the underworld. Mayor Delesop S. Morrison of New Orleans, president of the American Municipal Association.
It is a genuine pleasure to congratulate Gangbusters on your 13th anniversary on the air, and through you, the many local and federal heroes of the never-ending fight against crime whose achievements have been dramatized on your program. Gangbusters has rendered an important public service to the nation and to law enforcement agencies everywhere.
Police Commissioner Thomas F. Sullivan of the city of Boston.
The Boston Police Department desires to express its appreciation of the cooperation you have given us over the years in which Gangbusters has been broadcast. Your radio presentation each week has been extremely effective in assisting all law enforcement officers.
Thank you, Commissioner Sullivan of Boston and Mayor Morrison of New Orleans. And now Gangbusters presents the Honorable John J. Sullivan, former Deputy Commissioner and Chief of Detectives of the New York City Police Department, to narrate tonight's case. Commissioner Sullivan.
Thank you, and good evening, Gangbusters listeners. Tonight's case deals with a highly specialized police technique called surveillance. This consists of skillfully training a known criminal for days, weeks, or even months, until that criminal commits or attempts to commit a crime. A small group of detectives, part of the New York City Police Department and known as the Safe and Law Squad, are recognized experts at this work. A typical case in which this famous group of investigators was involved had its beginnings one afternoon last spring at a race course on Long Island. A man and woman were sitting on the clubhouse lawn between races. The man was studying his only Bible, the daily racing form, and she listened to an announcement on the public address system concerning the next race.
In the fourth race, a change of jockeys. Jay Lewis will be up on number 5, half-track, instead of Divine as listed in your program. Post time of the fourth race, 3:07.
Change of jockeys. That means something?
Yeah, it means this kid will ride the 5 horse instead of the other one. Now, let me alone, will you? I'm trying to come up with the figure horse. 4, 11, 16, 24, 32.
Al,
What?
I like this one, this Uncle Jack here.
What's the matter? Can't you read? He's 30-1.
I like him.
Why?
Because it says here, what does out of mean?
That's the name of the horse's mother.
Well, the horse's mother is named Blue Jersey, and I look good in blue jersey.
That's the reason, huh?
That's as good as any reason you got. All those figures and everything. Why, you play horses, you got to get an A in arithmetic.
Look, if you like this horse so much, Mona, just take your $2, walk up to the window, get yourself a ticket, that's all.
Place a show.
I'll be a sport for your $2. Play him to win. Now, leave me alone. 8, 11, 19, 30.
Oh, Al. How you doing?
Well, what's Ryan? What do you say?
Nothing much. Didn't know you were out yet.
Oh, yeah. I joined the Sing Sing Alumni Association 4 months ago.
Haven't seen you around, Al.
And you won't see me around either. I'm a square John now. I got a used car lot in Brooklyn.
What's the matter? Don't you like the other?
I like the fresh air.
My name is Mona.
Oh, yeah. Mona, meet Ryan.
Glad to know you.
Pleasure's all mine.
Well, how about it, Ryan? You got any information on any good things this afternoon?
Have you? Well, glad to hear you're out.
Thanks. And give my regards to all the boys. You lousy, no-good clown.
What's the matter? Looks like a real nice guy to me.
Oh, he does he? That's the guy that stepped me away for 3 to 5. He's a cop, a sergeant.
Oh?
Coming around here with that glad to see you, how you doing routine.
Can't blame him for having an interest in his past clients.
I'll give him an interest. Now, look, don't say nothing to Tommy about me running into a cop.
What's the matter? Tommy ain't too young to know the facts of life.
Just don't say nothing to Tommy. I don't like him to worry. This Ryan guy's asleep on his feet. That was pure luck he grabbed me before. Pure luck. Now, come on, we better get our bets done.
Okay.
Safe and Law Squad, Captain Hanson.
Sergeant Ryan, boss.
Well, hello, Ryan. Where are you?
I'm out at the track, checking around.
What's up?
Ran into an old friend of ours, boss.
Yeah, who's that?
Al Gardo.
Oh, yeah. When did he get out?
4 or 5 months ago, he says. Says he's been playing it square. Says he's got a used car lot in Brooklyn.
You think it's so, Ryan?
Well, I'll tell you, boss. He's been patronizing that $100 mutual window all afternoon. And the used car business ain't that good, unless he's the smiling Irishman, which he ain't.
Yeah. Where is he now?
Adler's got his eye on him, and the girl. The clubhouse yet. From Sing Sing to the clubhouse out here.
Say, Ryan, that gang that's been giving us the trouble lately, you think Al has any connection?
Well, Al's a safe man, and those weren't cracker boxes that got busted into.
All right, Ryan. You and Adler stay with him a while. See where he goes.
This horse has got a mother named Blue Jersey. That's all I know about him. Ask Al. So I put
Mona.
Yeah, Tommy?
Go out in the kitchen and fix some drinks. Yeah, Mona, I could stand a drink.
Hey, since when have I been a barmaid around here?
Go on, will you, baby? The bottle's on the sink. The ice is in the icebox.
Thanks. I'd never think of looking for ice in the icebox. Imagine ice in the icebox.
Didn't I tell you to take a look around down in Greenpoint this afternoon? Well, Tommy, I started so...
So you went to the track instead. I'm sitting here waiting to hear that you got a box to crack and you're out in the sunshine at the races. Listen, either you're a safe man or a sport. Now make up your mind, Al. I got no time to kiss away.
Okay. I'll have a look around tomorrow afternoon.
What's the matter with the morning?
Now, listen, Tommy, I got to put in some time at the used car lot. If I got a front, I got to take advantage.
All right. Locate that safe.
Didn't I say I would?
Boys are getting anxious. Ain't had a touch in a week now. Last one wasn't as big as we figured.
I'll line up something. I need the dough myself.
Bad day at the track, huh?
Wasn't good. Only Mona hits. Out of the dark, she fixed this 30-1 shot, and only $2 she had on it. A lousy $2 ticket.
Okay. Now, scout up something, will you? Watch out for those safe and loft cops. Could be 2 feet behind you. You never know they were there.
Oh, Tommy, if you worry about cops, you die young.
Those safe and loft cops you got to worry about. Now, you're sure nobody's been behind you?
Now, look, wouldn't I have said something if there was? I ain't seen a cop since I got out. Not even one on a motorcycle. Now, don't worry about it.
Listen, Al. Anytime you figure yourself smarter than those guys, you're a dead pigeon. Believe me. Those safe and loft guys are operators.
Hey, Giano.
Yeah, Sergeant Ryan, what?
Captain in there?
Yeah, Ryan, he's been asking for you.
Hello, Captain.
Come in, Ryan.
Well, Captain, Al and the girl went right from the track to this house on 111th. Adler and I stuck around until the relief came to take over.
Mm-hmm.
Al's still in there.
Did you find out anything about the guy Al's visiting?
Well, the mailbox says Tommy Fay, but you can't go by mailboxes. And what the janitor said.
Tommy Fay. Doesn't ring a bell with me.
One of us will get a look at him when he steps outside.
I don't think we ought to wait that long, Ryan. Did Adler come back with you?
Yeah, he's out there.
Yes, Captain.
Tell Adler to step in here.
Yes, sir.
Well, I've got some information on Al for you, Ryan.
Yeah?
Yeah, that used car lot of his. Couldn't support a guy that drinks nothing but milk.
Uh-huh.
It's a 2x4 affair. This morning there were just 2 jalops and a beat-up panel truck on sale, that's all. The Motor Vehicle Bureau says he registered sales in only 2 cars out of there since the 1st of April.
Well, that settles it for me, boss. Al's out on the make again.
With this Tommy Fay?
Yeah, whoever he is.
All right, Ryan, keep somebody on Al around the clock. He's our key man until we find out who this Tommy Fay is.
Yeah, Captain.
Come in, Adler.
What's up? I gotta go back and take over from Donahue tailing Al.
We'll send somebody else, Adler. And look, tomorrow morning I want you to go out on the 111th and knock on the door. See if you can get a good enough look at this Tommy Fay to make him.
How?
How about the magazine subscription routine?
No, he wouldn't even open up the door.
The, Giuseppe Garibaldi Society?
We don't know for sure he's Italian.
Janitor said he might be.
Okay, Adler. Try that. But watch your step.
Yeah? What do you want?
Io represento la società di Giuseppe Garibaldi.
No. Go home, will you? I got no interest in society.
La nostra società.
Speak English, will you?
This society is in the desperate needs of funds for its work, neighbor. We would like a pledge from
Now,
you.
get your pledges off somebody else. I don't believe in charity.
Please.
No. Now, go on home.
Captain Hanson.
Adler, Captain.
Did you get in?
I didn't get in, but I saw him. Tommy Fay is Tommy DeLucia.
DeLucia.
I'll take an oath on it.
Get in here as fast as you can, Adler. Ryan. Sergeant Ryan.
Yeah, boss. What is it?
Adler just called. Fay is Tommy DeLucia.
Well.
Yeah. I'll detail 4 or 5 more men to work on this thing. Tell them to report in my office in half an hour for instructions.
You betcha, Captain. Right away. Well, Gangbuster listeners, Tommy DeLucia was a well-known safecracker, and the Safe and Law Squad had lost track of him for many months. Now, though it took a gun battle in a darkened corridor, they were never again to lose track of him.
Madam, I wouldn't be so bold as to ask how old you are. But tell me, round 11 o'clock in the morning, how old do you feel? About twice as old? Do you wilt? Then what you need is a BEB.
B-E-B, 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 wow!
BEB means Basic Energy Breakfast. The kind of breakfast food experts say everyone should eat every morning. The kind of breakfast that gives you energy and zip, that makes you feel like licking your weight in Wildcats. What should a Basic Energy Breakfast consist of? Fruit or juice, toast and your favorite beverage, and cereal. And that's where Grape Nuts comes in. Grape Nuts is a cereal that gives you Nourishment Plus. Why, it's a fact that just one serving of Grape Nuts with milk and sugar gives you more nourishment than an egg and a slice of bacon. Plus a wonderful flavor that says, give me more. Give me more Grape Nuts. Grape Nuts, the cereal that's different, with those satisfying little kernels that stay crisp to the last spoonful. Remember, Grape Nuts give you plenty of healthy nourishment and a fine, tempting flavor you can really enjoy. And if you want to beat that mid-morning letdown, be sure you get your BEB and make Grape Nuts the heart of your basic energy breakfast. And our Grape Nuts takes you back to Gangbusters. And here again is tonight's narrator, the Honorable John J. Sullivan, former Chief of Detectives and Deputy Police Commissioner of the City of New York.
As you know, the famous Safe and Law Squad of the New York City Police Department had picked up the trail of Tommy DeLucia, alias Tommy Fay, one of the most notorious safecrackers of recent years. So Captain Hanson of the Safe and Law Squad ordered detectives to keep under surveillance, waiting for a move. After several nights of inactivity, police followed Al Goddard and Tommy DeLucia to a bar in the Coney Island section of Brooklyn.
Should have taken Mona with us tonight, Tommy. She'll be mad.
Yeah, let us stay home one night. Rest will do her good. Besides, we got to talk about how we're going to take that warehouse.
Oh, yeah. That watchman they got. I don't like watchmen. Suppose I scout around for another safe.
Listen, what's a watchman? There'll be 4 of us, and we'll have heaters. He's old, ain't he?
He's not young.
So he won't be a problem. The problem is, will there be much dough in the safe?
There usually is.
How do you know?
The drivers make collections. Where they're going to put the dough until the bank opens in the morning on the sugar bowl.
Uh-huh. When's payday there?
Fridays.
Okay. Safe ought to be loaded Thursday night. That's when we take it.
Not Thursday night, Tommy.
Why not Thursday night?
Well, the Dodgers got a night game with the Braves that promised order.
Listen, there's a baseball game every day.
Yeah, but Tommy, this game's important. It's a crucial series.
Uh-huh. Okay. Get 5 seats.
5? Why 5?
Ebbets Field's a good place to have the boys meet us.
Yeah, that's right, it is. Oh, but what about Mona?
What about her?
Well, I promised to take her to the game.
And take her.
How about the job?
So, she can give us a little help.
How?
She can sit in the car outside the joint with Nick. Anybody comes along, think they're a couple of lovers parked.
I don't know if she'll go for it, Tommy.
She'll go for it. She's been riding the gravy train long enough. Better start shoveling some coal into the boiler. Come on, let's get out of here.
Well, Captain, don't look like tonight's the night.
No, Ryan, I guess they're headed home.
And I ain't sorry either, boys. Not that I wouldn't like that Tommy nailed as fast as we can, but the feet are killing me.
Watch it now. I think they're going to turn to the 110th.
Yeah, that's what they're doing, all right.
Yeah. Al's taking Tommy home. I guess they won't crack into any place tonight. But keep behind them, Ryan, just to make sure.
Okay, boys.
Al?
Yeah, hello, Tommy.
Where you been? I called this number 3 times.
You wanted me to give the ball game tickets to the boys, didn't you? That's where I've been.
Are they all set?
Didn't I tell you it was a crucial series that tickle to death?
I don't mean about the game. I mean about the other.
Yeah, Tommy, that's it.
Vince will bring the tools?
Yeah, he's got them. We'll drive to the ballpark in our car and leave it. Vince will meet us at Ebbets Field. He'll have his car parked on Bedford Avenue. We'll use that for the job. It's all worked out. But I don't see no sense to it.
Listen, there's plenty of sense to it. These safe and loft guys are everywhere. How about Mona?
Well...
You told her, didn't you?
Yeah, Tommy. I told her, but she don't care too much for the idea.
Well, tell her again and make her care for it. You got her around enough, she ought to help out once in a while.
Okay. She'll help out. I'll see you at Ebbets Field, tonight.
Yeah.
Oh, I got 8 to 5, says the Brooks take the Braves.
I ain't interested in the ball game. Just be there.
You don't have to worry about me, Tommy. I'll be there for the batting practice.
Number 6, batting in place of Hodges. For Brooklyn, Ferrello, number 6, batting in place of Hodges.
Ryan, keep your eye on Tommy.
We won't lose him, Captain.
Well, this will probably be the last batter. Get set to take out after him.
You know, you think they'd leave early if tonight's the night. Especially with Brooklyn so far behind and 2 out in the ninth.
Yeah, well, maybe tonight isn't the night. Where's Adler?
He went down closer to them. Uh-oh. He's going to pitch to him.
There it is. The pop-ups all over.
And there they go, boys.
Okay. Adler.
Hey. They've got out across the field.
But the car's on this side. So maybe they're changing cars. Come on. Pardon us, please.
You see Adler?
No, I don't see him. Can you still see Tommy?
Yeah, I can see Tommy, but I don't think we can get to him. Pardon us, please. Excuse us.
Hey!
Excuse us, please. Coming
through.
through.
Lose him. Coming through here, please. Coming through.
What are you supposed to up to?
This must be it, Ryan. Here, coming through here, please.
Excuse us, please.
Coming through, please.
Coming through. Excuse us, please.
honest, Tommy, I couldn't enjoy the ball game thinking about changing cars and all this crazy business.
At least we're sure there's no safe and lost guys behind us. Right, guys?
That's right.
And speaking of the ball game, Al, how about paying off your little bet with me? The Brooklyns can't be beat. Ha!
Okay, I'll pay it off later. We got more important things on our mind tonight.
Listen, now, don't you try to welsh on me, Al.
He'll pay you off later. Now, you all set on what you got to do, Mona?
I'm all set, but I don't like it none.
All you got to do is sit in the car with Nick and get a little close. Now, that's all.
I don't see why you have to drag me into it.
You're in it, so that's that. All right, boys. You got it straight how we're going to take care of the watchman? And do it just like I told you. We got nothing to worry about, except how we're going to spend the money.
No sign of him, Captain.
Well, he must have switched cars. That means tonight's the night. Have you seen Adler?
No place. Yeah, it's tough we lost him after all this work.
Yeah. All right, look, Ryan. You stay here and watch the car Tommy left. I'm going to get the office on the phone. As soon as Mackey shows up, meet me in that candy store.
All right. You betcha, Captain.
Okay, old timer.
Hey.
Now, don't try nothing unless you want a lead slug in your belly.
I'm not going to try anything.
That's the way to cooperate, old timer.
We're after the safe. We're going to take it without any trouble from you.
All right. I won't give you any trouble.
Okay, boys. Get them tied up.
But I got to ring in on my calls. If I don't, the alarm company will be down here.
All right. Just be sure you don't ring in anything phony. You get that slug in the belly for sure.
Yeah.
Which way's the next call box, old timer?
Straight down there.
Hey, you go with him. See, don't pull anything.
Yeah. Go on, mister.
All right, I'm going.
All right, come on, boys. Safe's in there. Who's got the tools?
I got it.
Then let's go get it.
Safe and Loft Squad, Detective Jano.
Hello, Jono. Adler, listen.
Adler, Captain Hanson's calling in on the other phone. He wants you.
And I want him.
Well, hold on. I'll cross-connect you. Captain Hanson.
Yes?
Adler just called in on the other phone. I'll cross-connect you.
Good. Make it snappy.
Hold on. Go ahead.
Captain.
Where are you, Adler?
Listen, Captain. I managed to stay behind him in a cab.
Good. Where are they?
They broke into the Atlantic Terminal Company warehouse, 362 Maspeth. You got it?
Got it.
They're still inside.
Okay, we'll be there in 5 minutes.
Now, listen, Captain. The girl and one of them are parked on Maspeth as lookouts. You better come down and do it.
You handle those two?
Sure.
All right, take care of them. We'll be along in about 5 minutes.
Ladies and gentlemen, there are two things you want in a breakfast cereal. Lots of nourishment and a wonderful flavor. Grape Nuts gives you both. Why, just one bowl of Grape Nuts with milk and sugar gives you more nourishment than an egg and a slice of bacon. And that's why Grape Nuts is the best cereal for your BEB, your basic energy breakfast. The kind of breakfast that gives you more energy to beat that droopy morning letdown. And you'll like the taste of Grape Nuts tremendously. They have a malty, rich, sweet-as-a-nut flavor that brings you back for more. So if you droop before noon, if you don't feel lively in the morning, make sure you get your BEB. And make sure you make Grape Nuts the heart of your basic energy breakfast. Ask your grocer for Grape Nuts tomorrow.
Tomorrow is Sunday.
Oh, so it is. Go to church tomorrow and buy Grape Nuts on Monday. And now Grape Nuts takes you back to Gangbusters.
There's Adler, Captain, right by that car.
Okay, Ryan, pull up alongside. Come on, boys.
Right, Captain.
Everything okay, Adler?
Just perfect, Captain. What do we do with these two?
I didn't do anything. Honest, I didn't do anything.
We'll see about that later, sister. Mackey, keep your eye on these two. Come on, men.
Right. They got in through the freight entrance, Captain. I think we can make it the same way.
All right, hold it here. You. Go around, cover the other side of the building.
Right now.
Okay, Ryan, let's go. Adler.
Yeah, Captain.
We'll go in first. You back us up, okay?
Right. Watch it going up on the freight dock, Captain.
Yeah. All right, go on up.
All right.
Adler?
Yeah.
All right, here I come. Okay, let's go. Watch this Tommy, fellas. He's always carried a gun on jobs.
Don't worry, boss.
That door there.
Okay, open it up. All right, let's go in.
There's a light back there.
Yeah, that's them. Let's take them. Okay.
Come on. You can't be all night with us, Fox.
They're in there. Let's get them. Open the door.
All right, get him up. Get him up, all of you. What?
Okay, that's enough. All right. All of you stay where you are. Get your hands in the air. Come on. Watch him, Ryan.
Don't worry, Captain. Here's Tommy. Looks like he's through.
And I'm hit. Help me, will you, guys?
Sure, we'll help you, Al. Right back to Sing Sing, where you came from.
All right. Now, Ollie, get over against that wall and sit down. We got to see what's what around here.
Go on, he said. Against the wall. Well, Gangbusters listeners, that was the end of this syndicate of dangerous safecrackers. Their leader, Thomas DeLucia, is dead, and the second in command seriously wounded. All convicted members of this gang are now serving long terms in Sing Sing.
Thank you very much, Commissioner John J. Sullivan, for this memorable insight into the work of the famous Safe and Lot Squad of the New York City Police Department. And Gangbusters, congratulations to all the courageous and hardworking officers who participated in this investigation. Now, Gangbusters is proud to present the Honorable Fred A. Roth, Chief of Police of Morristown, New Jersey, and past President of the International Association of Chiefs of Police.
Thank you. I congratulate Gangbusters on its 13th anniversary and wish it continued success in dramatizing in an authentic manner the achievements of our nation's police forces. Today, face to face with a mounting wave of crime, America's police need as never before the understanding and the enlightened cooperation of the citizens of our country. Those who are tempted to break the law must be convinced that crime does not pay. Those who are law-abiding must learn generously and wisely to give full cooperation to their police forces. Earlier in this program, you have heard messages from Police Commissioner Thomas F. Sullivan of Boston and Mayor Delaceps S. Morrison of New Orleans. Now, a message from the Honorable Thomas D. Alessandro, Jr., Mayor of Baltimore.
As Mayor of the City of Baltimore and Chairman of the Standing Committee on Legislation of the United States Conference of Mayors, I heartily congratulate Gangbusters' radio program on its 13th anniversary and wish it continued success in informing our citizens of the splendid work of the federal, state, and local law enforcement officers who so zealously guard our safety. With enemies boring from without and within, we must be ever alert to the danger to our national security, and our nation is fortunate in having fearless, efficient, and vigilant protection by the duly constituted law officials of the nation.
And from the Honorable Edmund G. Brown, District Attorney of the City and County of San Francisco,
congratulations on the 13th anniversary of Gangbusters and continued success in bringing to the attention of the public the splendid work of the nation's police and other law enforcement bodies.
And here is a telegram from the Honorable Donald S. Leonard, Commissioner of the Michigan State Police.
Congratulations to Gangbusters on the 13th anniversary of its series of programs dedicated to proving the truth of the oft-repeated warning, the crime does not pay. The influence which this has exerted in behalf of law enforcement deserves the commendation of enforcement officials.
I know these fine messages to Gangbusters express the considered opinion of many other law enforcement officials in all the 48 states, their counties, and their cities.
Thank you, Chief of Police Fred A. Roth of Morristown, New Jersey, past President of the International Association of Chiefs of Police.
Next week, the case of the masquerading gunman who staged the biggest bank robbery in Oregon history, but who found that when the masks were down, the prize for the best performance went to the men in police uniform.
Listen next week, same time, same CBS station, to the amazing facts in the case of the masquerading gunman on Gangbusters. Tonight's case was dramatized by Stanley Niss and directed by William Sweets, with Frank Reddick and Larry Haynes in leading roles. Jay Jackson speaking. Gangbusters is a Phillips H. Lord production. Gangbusters has been presented by Grape Nuts, the delicious malty-rich cereal that gives you Nourishment Plus. So make Grape Nuts the heart of your BEB, the heart of your basic energy breakfast. Grape Nuts. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Here we hail. From New York City, where the American stage begins, here is another program with a cast of outstanding players. Public service time has been made available by this station for your Army and your Air Force to bring you this story, as proudly we hail the pioneers of air safety. Entitled A Medal for Joe, a story of the exciting early days of flying and of the men who risked their lives for safety. Our first act curtain will rise in just a moment, but first, America looks up to her men in the sky. Yes, our country looks up to the young men thundering their way to new glory in the skies. Theirs is a task held in high esteem by the entire nation. You are needed to swell their ranks and can do so by enrolling now in the Aviation Cadet Training Program of the United States Air Force. If you're between the ages of 19 and 26 and a half, have had 2 or more years of college and are otherwise qualified, visit your nearest United States Army and United States Air Force recruiting station and ask about the Aviation Cadet Training Program. Do it today. And now your Army and your Air Force presents the proudly we hail production, A Medal for Joe.
Coffee yet?
Oh, another cup of coffee and I'd explode. Gee, that was a wonderful dinner, Julie. You're even a better cook than I remember.
Well, it's been a long time since I had a chance to show off in the kitchen for you.
Yeah, it has been a long time, hasn't it? And yet it seems like just a couple of hours ago since we were all stationed in Texas and I was barging in on you and Bob. Now, I must have eaten every dinner at your house 2 years ago.
2 years ago. Awful lot has happened since then.
Sure has. Bob and I were on our feet then instead of in the air. Remember how we both signed up for the air service on the same day?
Remember? I'll never forget it. The date was August 27th, 1919. It's our anniversary. I was afraid then, Ed.
Oh, now what's there to be afraid of? Most accidents happen in the home. People slip in the bathtub or fall down the cellar
stairs. I know it, but sometimes I can't help but be a little worried.
Haven't you heard anything from the field?
No. I called about 5 just before you got here. Said the flight was delayed. Ran into some bad weather over the mountains or something.
Well, I don't think there's anything to worry about. If something was wrong, you'd be getting a call from the field. Those boys are pretty good about keeping everybody up to date.
Yeah, I know it. Now, let's just forget about any silly worries. Let's just think about how surprised Bob will be when he gets home and finds that Major Hoffman, that is right here in his own quarters at McCook Field.
You know, by the way, I don't think it's exactly right for me to just move in like this.
Oh, nonsense. We've got plenty of room. And the kids love having you, too. When some good bachelor quarters come up, you can move out. providing it isn't too far away for you to come and have dinner with us every night.
Well, with this dinner as an inducement, I think I'd be able to make it a couple of 100 miles for the same thing. All right, here. Let me help you with the dishes while we're waiting for
No, I certainly won't let you help. You just go into the living room and read the paper. It won't take me a minute. Bob will be here before I finish.
Might as well have blindfolds on as try to see through this fog. You make out anything, Chuck? Pure soup, Bob. Pure soup. Hey, can you take it down, Eddie? I think we must be way beyond those mountain ranges by now. Yeah, if our calculations are right, we're not far from home. It's times like this I wish I were patrolling the Mexican border again, on foot. Yeah, you'll sing a different tune when you walk into your front hall and give Julie a big kiss. I suppose you're right. Let's go down a little, see what we can see. Hey, that's far enough, Bob. Look, there's the field. They got the flares out for us. Hey, Bob. Bob, that's far enough. Pull her up. She's stuck, Chuck. I can't pull her up.
What's the matter, Julie? Stumble over something?
No, the glass just fell out of my hand. Yeah, something's wrong. I don't know what it is, but something's happened to Bob.
Yeah, now, old man. Let's sit here in the sun and tell lies to each other, huh?
Feel like a dope having to be waited on like this. Wait till I get out of this cast and I'll throw you over my left shoulder with one hand just to get even with you for having to carry me out here like a baby every afternoon.
Ice cold lemonade coming up. Oh, it's wonderful having you home all the time, darling.
Now, there's true love for you. She works like a dog. Both of you do, carting me around, waiting on me hand and foot, and you say it's wonderful having me on the ground.
Well, it is now, and don't laugh at me. I wish you could stay on the ground always, Bob.
Now, look, Julie, if they told me I couldn't fly, I don't know what I'd do. So let's just make up our minds to that. As soon as I'm out of this plaster cast, I'm going to be at the ready room waiting for my orders.
Oh, I knew that. I guess I knew it all the time.
You know, I've been doing a lot of thinking in the past 5 weeks. Since that night we were sitting here waiting for you to come in, Bob.
Well, don't tell me you're on Julie's side. Look, Ed, you were the one who got the idea of transferring to the air service of this U.S. Army. Not that I was more than 5 seconds behind you, but remember all the arguments you had stored away to answer Julie?
Oh, sure, I know. Don't think I transferred to any other branch. No, the thinking I was doing was a little different.
Well, what, Ed? If it's anything to keep you out of the air, you two lunatics, I'm all for it.
No, that's not it, Julie. We'll fly. Gosh, we were born to fly. It's just that not enough work is being done on making flying safe.
Oh, you're crazy, Ed. They're doing everything they can. What happened that night couldn't have been avoided. It wasn't anybody's fault.
But you could have done something, Bob. You and Chuck both.
Done something? What? We did everything that was humanly possible. You can't blame that wreck on me or Chuck or anybody else.
Well, wait a minute. Calm down, fella. I'm not blaming anybody, but look at it this way. You weren't chained in your pilot's seat, were you?
No, of course not. What are you getting at?
And Chuck could have moved around, too, couldn't he?
Sure, but I don't see
You both could have climbed out of the cockpit, couldn't you?
Sure, and then we could have soared right down to earth and let the plane crash without us.
Now, Bob, I'm serious. After your accident, while Julie and I were here alone and when... Well, all right, let's be honest. When they thought you were going to die. I stayed up alone night after night thinking about something I saw once that might have prevented all this.
Nothing could have prevented it. Chuck and I did everything
Honey, be quiet. Now, let Ed explain.
Once I was at a county fair and a guy went up in a balloon. I suppose he was crazy to do it, but he jumped out in a parachute. He could have killed himself, but he didn't.
A parachute? What's that?
Well, they've been doing a lot more experimenting on them in Europe than they have here. It's sort of like an umbrella, a silk umbrella. The wind slows it down enough so that the guy strapped underneath it just floats down to earth.
Sounds like a dream.
Oh, sure, it's a dream. The Wright brothers had a dream just 8 miles from this field. And we're flying in the product of that dream every day.
Well, why hasn't more been done about it, Ed?
Oh, I don't know, lots of reasons. There isn't a lot of money around to spend on aviation yet. And what there is being spent to make better planes, to make those planes safer. Besides that, there aren't enough people that are convinced it could ever work.
Are you convinced?
Yes,
Ed?
I am. Yes, I'm completely convinced. There's an awful lot of work and experimenting to be done. And maybe somebody will get killed trying the things out. But parachutes will work if we work on them hard enough.
I don't think I get it entirely. I wasn't at that county fair.
Well, it's not hard to explain it. Look, you see that milkweed pod there in the garden? That white, fluffy thing that's floating down to earth?
Well, sure, we've got dozens of them out here during the summer.
All right, now that is the perfect parachute. See how it opens out and just like a silk umbrella. It floats the pod down to the plant.
You think that man could build something like that? For men to parachute to Earth?
Yes, I do. If you got the right cloth and the right pulleys and the right everything. You see, that's where the trial and error experimenting comes in. But it could be done. It could work. It could have worked that night for you and Chuck.
You're a dreamer, Ed, like I said.
Oh, yeah. And I think I'll be called worse than that before I'm through.
And this is the paint section, Major.
Mm-hmm.
Here's where we've been doing some research on paint that won't rust or chip off.
Yes, I see, Corporal. Looks like it's in fairly good shape.
We've been making some headway, sir.
And that room in there, what's that?
Oh, that's just sort of a supply and storage room. I'm afraid it's not as neat as we'd like it, sir.
Well, if you'd known that the new material sheet would be such an eager beaver, you probably would have had everything shining, huh?
Well, sir, we are pretty short-handed, but we can get it in shape right away.
Well, let's go in and take a look anyway. You sure got a lot of junk in here.
Most of it is just that, I guess, Major, but I don't like to throw anything out until they tell me to. Thought you might want to see it all, and then we can throw out whatever you say.
Mm-hmm. And what's over here in this box? Boy, it's dusty enough.
Oh, those are a couple of, what do you call them, parachutes. Somebody, I can't remember his name, some fellow who was attached to this section a couple of years ago. He was always trying them out.
Wait, parachutes? You mean there's been some experimenting on them here at McCook Field?
Nothing much from what I hear. I wasn't around then, but this fellow I was telling you about was hipped on the subject. Kept weighting them down and dropping them out of planes. He never got anywhere with them, though. Everybody said he wouldn't, but he kept trying until he was transferred somewhere else. So they've just stayed here gathering dust. Should I throw them out, Major?
No, sirree. Dust them off. I'll want to inspect them thoroughly this afternoon. And, Corporal, get out anything else that fellow used in his experiment. I want everything he used out and ready for me to look at right after chow.
Yes, sir.
All right, gentlemen. Anything else? How about you, Hoffman? You getting around all right? Finding out about your new section?
Yes, Colonel. It all looks to be in good order. There's just one thing, sir.
Well, go ahead. Staff meeting's the time to bring up any problems you got. That's what we have these sessions for.
Well, I have a list of requisitions here, Colonel.
Well, you can just put those through channels, can't you? Normal requisitions can just be ordered in the usual fashion. That's all you've got, and we might as well break this up.
No, wait, Colonel, this is a little different. This is something I think I'll need staff approval on. You see, it's a list of requisitions for a new section.
A new section? Well, that's different. Here, let me see that. 1 sewing machine, 12 bolts of silk. Hey, what is this? Are you planning on opening a dressmaking shop for the wives of the post?
Well, no, sir. Well, I was hoping to get staff approval to start some experimenting on parachutes.
Parachutes? Now, look, Hoffman, let's get this straight. You're in charge of materials. Your job's to work on paint and metals and fabrics, anything else that'll improve our air service. We don't want any crazy experimenting on silk umbrellas going on around here. Haven't got the money or the personnel or the time. I'm not going to risk the lives of any of my men.
Colonel, they're risking their lives now every time they go up without any protection.
I know that just as well as you do. But my job is to improve what we've got, to eliminate the hazards in the equipment that exists. Your job is to put your section to work on the improved research. Now, let's not consider any harebrained schemes.
Well, Colonel, if I work on them in my spare time, would that be all right?
Well, sure. There's nothing I can say about how you spend your time off. Any daffy idea you want to carry out on your time off, your business. But my business right now is to throw this requisition in the wastebasket. Dismissed.
You see, Colonel, I honestly think it will work. Now, not right away. I know it's going to take a long time, probably, but look at it this way. If we don't try, we'll never know if it'll work or not. Can't we just try?
Huffman, you've dogged my footsteps for 4 months now. Every time I look up, there you are, with a requisition in your hand. I'm getting so I look under my bed at night to see if you're there.
Well, I'm sorry, Colonel. I know I've been a nuisance, but if you just put through this requisition, I promise you won't see hide nor hair of me for months. Just let me try and see if I can make a parachute work. You know, I'm not just starting from scratch. A lot of guys in Europe and here in the States have been working. I've got something to go on.
All right. You've worn me down. Get a bolt of silk and fool around with it if you must. Now get out of my sight. Oh, and Hoffman.
Yes, sir?
Good luck.
You are listening to the proudly we hail production of A Medal for Joe. We'll return to our story in just a moment. Young men of America, your country is building a mighty Air Force to maintain the security of our nation. This means that there is a job for you, the chance to do an important job with one of the finest organizations of its kind in the world today, the United States Air Force. If you're between the ages of 19 and 26 and a half, have had 2 or more years of college and are otherwise qualified, the Air Force needs you as part of the Aviation Cadet Training Program. For complete details, visit your nearest United States Army and United States Air Force recruiting station today. You are listening to Proudly We Hail. And now we present the second act of A Medal for Joe.
Oh, here, Corporal, give me a hand with one of these crates, huh?
Sure thing, Major. Gosh, these things are heavy. What's in them, sir?
Sewing machines. Here, let's put this one over in the middle of the room so we can open it up easily.
Right. Sewing machines? And you really got the stuff you asked the Colonel for? You're really going to make some of those parachutes?
Mm-hmm, that's right. And go ahead and laugh if you want to.
Oh, sir, I don't think I will.
You don't think you'll what?
Laugh.
What do you mean I've convinced you after all these months?
Well, not really convinced me, but... Well, I'll put it this way. If I were up in a plane instead of here on the ground, I'd like everything I could get my hands on to make sure I'd get back on the ground. Who knows? This idea of yours might work. I say it's worth trying.
Well, what do you know, Corporal? I've got my first convert. Yes, come in. Yes, you gentlemen wanted to see me?
You're Major Hoffman?
That's right.
I'm Guy Ball. My name's Floyd Smith. We're here.
Oh, you don't have to tell me who you guys are. I've seen you make parachute jumps over at Wright Field. Glad to meet you both.
Well, the same here, Major.
Go on. Sit down, both of you.
Oh, thank you.
Well, what brings you men over here?
Well, we heard you wanted to hire some men to help out on your experiments with parachutes.
I sure do. But you're the first ones to come in here since I placed ads all over the country weeks ago. You mean you really want jobs?
Yeah, we sure do. We've been both risking our necks jumping out of planes at fairs all over the barnstorming country. We heard you're trying to perfect parachutes. And if there's one thing Floyd and I'd like, it's a perfect parachute.
Well, I've never been so glad to see 2 people in my life. You 2 guys probably know more about parachuting than anybody in the country. Look, I'm afraid we can't offer you the kind of money you get for trying to break your neck upstairs.
Look, Major, it's like Guy says. We'd like to get some good parachutes, that's all. That's why we're here. Yeah. Both of us, not to mention our wives, we're a little sick of believing every jump is going to be our last. So, we'd like to work with you.
Well, you're hired.
When do you want us to go to work?
Right now. Listen, you can tell me more this afternoon than I could learn in 3 years of using weight.
What do you want to know?
I'll just start from the beginning. What kind of chutes did you use? What were the pulleys like? What about the winds? Just tell me everything you know. And when you finish, we'll figure out what we should do to get you to that perfect parachute. Well, there he is. 170 pounds and the best-looking guy I've ever seen.
Good morning, Hoffman. Smith.
Morning, Colonel.
Oh, hello, Colonel.
Well, what's this? Pretty large for a puppet.
Colonel, I'd like you to meet Joe. Dummy Joe.
Well, what's his assignment around here?
He's going to make all our experimental jumps, Colonel. You see, we found out that 50-pound weights weren't working right. We discovered that if we wanted to make a good parachute for a man, we'd have to have the next best thing to a real man.
That's right, so we built Dummy Joe here. You see, Colonel, his arms and legs are weighted to put the stress on the cords the way a man would do it. Well, anyway, almost the way a man would do it.
And we've even got a time fuse in his right hand so Joe can pull the ripcord for himself.
Pretty ingenious. Looks like you're making progress here, Hoffman.
Well, sir, we've been getting along.
Well, how about materials? You got what you need here? Seems to me I've been signing enough requisitions.
I think we've got enough for Joe's first trial anyway, sir. We finally got just the right kind of silk. Had to send all the way to Japan for it, but it should be just right. You see, the wind goes through it. It's porous enough for that. But enough wind should stay in it to billow a man. Joe, that is. Down to earth, just as nice as you please.
Well, it sounds as if you're getting along pretty well. Frankly, you're doing better than I thought you would. I'll have to hand it to you, Hoffman. You know how to stick to a job.
Well, thanks, Colonel. It's all up to Dummy Joe now.
Well, he's not going to prove everything in one jump, is he?
Oh, no, sir, not by a long shot. It'll probably be more like 1,000 before we're ready to test the chute with live personnel.
Well, don't go using any men on those things until you're sure. And Hoffman...
Yes, sir?
Let me know when Dummy Joe completes 1,000 jumps. I think by that time he ought to have a medal pinned on him.
Well, we got to rig up that time fuse some other way, Ed.
Yeah, you're right. Dummy Joe's got to delay before the ripcord's pulled. Otherwise, he'll get all tangled in the tail surfaces of the plane. All right? Let's fix it right now. Now, this is the way I've worked it out. A load of 400 pounds released from a plane flying at 120 miles an hour will put just as much strain on the chute, if not more, as a delayed drop of 16 seconds.
Yeah. Okay, I'll take your word for it. Let's go find something for Dummy Joe to carry on his next jump. You come up with anything to figure out why those rigging lines are breaking?
Yeah, I think so. This thing looks complicated, and it is, sort of. But you see, it should record the amount of strain on each individual cord. Then we'll know what's pulling too much in the drop.
Hey, look at you. What's the matter? Your company got a parade?
Well, can't I put on my dress uniform once in a while?
Sure. I just haven't seen you in anything but fatigues for so long it came as sort of a shock.
Well, you and Guy and me are invited over to Julie's and Bob's tonight, so go find yourself a white shirt and a tie. She's expecting us in about half an hour.
Why didn't you bring Dummy Joe along?
Well, we really should have, you know. This should actually be his celebration.
How's that? Has he performed some act beyond the call of duty?
You can certainly say that. Tomorrow's going to be jump number 1,000.
Yeah, and more than that, too. As a matter of fact, the last 100 times he bailed out has been perfect. There's no reason he has to make this one tomorrow, except the Colonel promised him a medal if he did it.
I'd like to make that bailout instead of Dummy Joe tomorrow.
What?
You don't mean that, Ed.
Why do you look so shocked? Why do you think we've been making all these experiments? We've been working on these parachutes for men to use, not for Dummy Joe.
Well, sure, of course, I know that, but it's... Well, I guess I never really thought about you or Floyd or Guy or Bob parachuting from a plane.
Julie, you confuse me. Nothing would satisfy you, but Ed had to have everyone believe in him and help him in his experiments. Now that he's got it ready for a man to try out, you're sitting there mumbling that a man shouldn't do it.
I know it's silly, but I just wish somebody I didn't know would try it.
Well, it's not going to be someone you don't know, Julie. It's going to be someone you've known for almost 10 years. Me.
Look, Ed, I know how you feel. I've been in on a lot of this. I know just as much about that chute as you do, and furthermore, I've had actual experience. I've jumped in chutes a lot worse than the ones you started with. I'll jump tomorrow.
Hey, now, wait a minute. How about me? I've chalked up just as many jumps as you.
I've got a better idea than any of you. After all, it was my crash that got you started on this. Let me have the first try at the thing you thought about because of me.
I think you're all crazy. There's only one way to settle this. We'll do it the way we did when we were kids. Now, here, I'll break these toothpicks. And don't watch. You'll draw a straw.
That's ridiculous.
Stop grumbling. Just draw one. Ed, you go first. Floyd?
Yes.
Guy? And Bob?
Thanks.
Gosh, I hate to be selfish, but I sort of hope you're out.
I am. I think you stacked them.
Oh, well, let's see the rest of them.
Oh, of all the rotten luck. Okay, Floyd. It's Dummy Joe's shoot for you tomorrow.
I'll go along in the plane with him.
All right, I'll check from the ground. Julie, you and Bob come on out to the field with us tomorrow. You were in on the beginning. I want you to see our dream come true.
I almost think it'll be easier up there on the plane than down here.
You're darned right it would be. Plane's coming in for the jump now. Cross your fingers and pray.
There he goes.
It's not opening. The chute's not opening.
Oh, it'll open. It's got to. There it is. It's open. Oh, just as pretty as you please. And not a tree in sight for him to land in. And no wind to blow him anywhere but right down here at our feet.
I almost didn't make it. I wouldn't miss this for anything.
Colonel, I thought you were off the base.
I was. Darn near broke my neck getting back here. Wouldn't have missed Dummy Joe's jump or anything. 1,000 today, isn't it? I've been keeping pretty close track of that little guy.
Colonel, this is a little difficult to explain. You see, you weren't around.
What are you mumbling about, Hoffman?
Well, I'm just trying to say that... Well, that isn't Dummy Joe, sir.
Not Dummy Joe? Well, then who... Hoffman, you don't mean to say there's a real live human being in that contraption?
It's Floyd Smith, Colonel. We drew straws, and he won.
Colonel, look how beautifully it's working. Why, it's just like a child in a swing.
He's down. Let's go out and give him a hand.
Well, how'd she work, Floyd?
Oh, perfect. Not a thing wrong. You ought to order enough of these for every man, Colonel.
What I ought to do is court-martial you, Hoffman.
Colonel, think what it would have meant to the men like Bob who crashed if they'd had parachutes. Think what it will mean to all the men who are flying and will fly in the future.
And besides, Colonel, all you said was not to let a man jump until the parachute was safe. Well, you just saw it work, sir.
Yeah, I guess that's what I said. Well, I'm a man of my word, and I said something else, too, so let's go.
Where, Colonel?
Into the hangar. You've had your glory for today. Now give another guy a chance. I'm going to pin a medal on Dummy Joe.
America is depending on her leaders in the air. If you're a young man between the ages of 19 and 26 and a half, have had 2 or more years of college, and are otherwise qualified, you are eligible to join the ranks of America's leaders in the air. You can become an aviation cadet. The defense of our nation hangs heavily on our air strength, the finest in the world. But we cannot relax our efforts. The Air Force still needs pilots and aircraft observers. If you have the primary qualifications, visit your nearest United States Army and United States Air Force recruiting station today. Ask about the Aviation Cadet Training Program. Do it now. This has been another program on Proudly We Hail, presented transcribed in cooperation with this station. Proudly We Hail is produced by the Recruiting Publicity Bureau for the United States Army and United States Air Force Recruiting Service. This is Kenneth Banghart speaking, and inviting you to tune in the same station next week for another interesting story on Proudly We Hail.
Brings you Basil Rathbone and Nigel Bruce in the new adventures of Sherlock Holmes. The Petrie family, the family that took time to bring you good wine, invites you to listen to Dr. Watson tell us another exciting adventure he shared with his old friend, that master detective, Sherlock Holmes. Oh, and say, I'd like to tell you about something myself. I'd like to tell you about the wine that more Americans prefer than any other wine. That wine is port. And if you want to know why port is such a favorite, just pour yourself a glass of wonderful Petri California port. Look at that Petri port. Look at its glowing, deep red color. And sample that aroma. It'll remind you of a walk through a dew-covered vineyard. And now taste that Petri port. Boy, you've got something. Petri port is one of the most delicious wines ever poured from a bottle. Right then and there, Petri port will become your favorite wine. I'm confident of that. And I'm sure you'll want to serve Petri port to your friends, too. After dinner or any time they drop in for a visit. And remember, you can serve Petri port proudly. Because those letters, P-E-T-R-I, spell the proudest name in the history of American wines. Petri. Petri wine. And now I'm sure our good friend Dr. Watson's ready for us. Let's go in and join him.
Come in. Ah, there you are, Mr. Bartell.
Good evening. Oh, excuse me, Dr. Watson. I didn't know that you had company.
Shut the door, my boy, and come in and join us. Let me introduce you, Mr. Bartell. This is my friend, Mrs. Campbell.
How do you do, Mrs. Campbell?
How do you do, Mr. Bartell?
Mrs. Campbell is a very old friend of mine from England, and when she called on me today, I persuaded her to stay and have dinner, and then join us in this little session of storytelling. You see, Mr. Bartell, she's really what you might call the star of the Sherlock Holmes adventure that I'm going to tell you tonight.
Oh, come now, Dr. Watson. I actually played a very small part of the story. In any case, I was much too young at the time to know what was really going on.
Say, this is a great idea, Doctor. One of the characters out of your fabulous past here in California in 1946 and helps tell her own story.
Oh, no, Mr. Bartell. I'm no storyteller. That's the doctor's department. I'll just listen.
No, my dear. I'll set the scene, but you must ring up the curtain, as it were. In any case, my memory isn't too clear on some of the early points in connection with the case. You will have to help me out.
Oh, but you're talking to millions of listeners on the radio. I'd be terrified to speak over the air.
We're on the air now, Mrs. Campbell.
Oh, we're not, are we? Oh, dear.
No. Don't worry, Cynthia. If they're kind enough to listen to me week after week, I'm sure they'll be delighted to hear you. And now, to get on with the story. The title, The Adventure of the Living Doll. The setting, the Sussex Downs, near the bee farm to which Sherlock Holmes retired. The period, 1910. And now, Cynthia, my dear, the curtain's going up, and the first scene belongs to you. Supposing you set it for us.
Well, I'll try. We were living on the Sussex Downs also, Mr. Bartell, at that time. My name was then Cynthia Browning. My father, Arthur Browning, had been dead for some years, but my mother kept up the estate with a manager, a Mr. Hugh Tanner. I was away at school most of the year, of course, but the happiest times of my childhood were spent during those long summer months in Sussex. I lived in a small world, knowing only a few people and loving all of them, or almost all. First of all, there was Mother herself. She was the most beautiful woman in the world, and the sweetest. I remember she gave me a puppy on my 12th birthday. His name was Dusty, and he was so sweet. I talked to Mother about him one day. I must have sounded terribly young.
Mommy, darling, I do love Dusty. Very, very much. He's a lovely puppy, and you gave him to me.
You love him, Cynthia. I know that. But I've been feeding him. That's your job, darling. It's good for grown-up people to have responsibility.
Oh, Mommy, I'll feed him. Of course I will. I'll feed him so full, he'll burst.
Then there was the estate manager, Hugh Tanner. Such a pleasant man, and so willing to tell a 12-year-old all the things that a 12-year-old has to know or die.
But, Mr. Tanner, why did you have to shoot the horse? He'd only broken his leg.
Cynthia, horses aren't like human beings. Their legs won't mend. Now think of a horse that couldn't frisk and run and gallop across the downs. We're actually being kind to him. Honest we are, Cynthia.
And then there was Frank King, the painter who lived on the downs. He taught me to open my eyes and really see things.
No, Cynthia. That sunset isn't red. It's gold and rust. And the water, child, look at it. It's almost rose in this light. Rose flecked with cobwebs of eggshell blue. Cynthia, darling, a sunset's never just one color. Do try and remember that, won't you?
And then there was Mr. Pound from the city. I gathered that he was terribly rich, and he wanted to marry Mother. But he certainly didn't understand little girls.
Cynthia, I'm going to give you half a crown for being a very good little girl. Now, tell me, what will you do with it?
I'll buy something for Mommy.
Oh, no, my dear. This is your own money. You put it in the savings account at the post office, and it'll make more money for you. Always remember, my dear, take care of the pennies, and the pounds will take care of themselves.
Then there was the wonderful wise woman who knew all the things that aren't in books.
Always remember, my bunny, that it's good luck to touch the hump of a hunchback. But the curse of Beelzebub himself will be upon ye if ye look at a sliver of silver moon through the glass.
And then the strangest and most wonderful of them all was the lean, middle-aged man with a sharp face and the bee-net whom I met one day on the downs.
Good afternoon, young lady.
Good afternoon. I'm Cynthia Browning.
My name is Holmes. Sherlock Holmes.
Why are you carrying that net? You looking for butterflies?
Oh, no, Cynthia. I'm a bee farmer.
Bee farmer? Oh, that sounds funny. How do you farm bees?
Well, come over to my place one day and I'll show you. I say, that's a beautiful doll you're carrying.
It isn't a doll. It's my mascot. It was given to me by Frank King, the painter. He made it for me. He made it to look as much like me as possible. I call her me.
It's remarkable likeness.
See the hair? That's clippings off my hair. And the nails? Those are clippings from my own nails. She's really me. I love her.
Your own nails and hair, and the doll is an exact replica of you? I don't like that, Cynthia. Remember, my dear, my name, it's Sherlock Holmes, and I live at the bee farm, and if anything unusual happens, come to me at once.
Of course, Dr. Watson, I'll confess that first meeting with Sherlock Holmes rather frightened me.
You didn't understand why he was so worried about the doll, eh?
No, but I remembered what he said about coming to him if anything unusual happened.
And I'm sure that unusual something did happen.
Yes, Mr. Bartell, and within a very few days. But at this point, I think Dr. Watson should take over the story. It's where he and Mr. Holmes really entered into it.
Oh, very well. As I mentioned earlier, Mr. Bartell, I was staying with Holmes. Late in the afternoon, as I remember, that you ran over to the bee farm where I first met you, Cynthia. A few moments before you arrived, Holmes and I, each of us with a cup of tea in our hands, were seated on the veranda, gazing out across the downs, and discussing the mutability of human affairs.
It's strange, Watson, that after a lifetime devoted to the more flamboyant aspects of everyday life, that now, in what is the fast approaching twilight of my days, I find such peace and companionship in the exact and predictable behavior of bees. I wonder what Moriarty would have thought.
Oh, you're talking as if you're an old dodder of 90. You say what you like, but I don't think that you'll ever really be happy in retirement. You miss the danger, the excitement of the chase, the public acclaim.
What are you talking about? My work was never for the public. What did the public, the great unobservant public, who could hardly tell a weaver by his tooth or a typesetter by his left thumb, care about the finer shades of analysis or deduction? In any case, Watson, I chose a happy time to sink into oblivion. In comparatively recent years, the criminal seems to have lost all his originality and enterprise. My own little practice when I gave it up seemed to be in danger of developing into an agency for recovering lost lead pencils or giving advice to young ladies from boarding schools.
Oh, talking of young ladies, who's this little girl running up your driveway?
Oh, great Scott, it's little Cynthia Browning.
Oh, and who's she?
Oh, a charming young neighbor of mine. Hello, Cynthia.
Hello, Mr. Holmes.
You've come to see how I farm bees, haven't you?
No, Mr. Holmes. You told me to come to you. Something unusual happened. It has. Something that's frightened me.
Well, now, sit down, my dear. This is my old friend, Dr. Watson.
Oh, how do you do, Cynthia?
How do you do?
Now, Cynthia, dear, what has frightened you?
It's my mascot. My me. Look. Somebody stabbed her through the heart.
Great Scott, a doll that's an exact replica of her. With a penknife thrust into it. Good gracious me.
When did you find your mascot like this?
Just after tea. Mommy had some gentlemen calling on her. And afterwards I went up to my room and found poor me on the bed. I remembered what you told me about anything unusual. And so I came over here as fast as I could.
Yes, I'm glad that you did, Cynthia.
Did you tell your mother where you'd gone with her?
No, I didn't. She was still talking to the gentleman.
Well, she'll worry about you when she discovers your disappearance.
No, don't worry, Watson. I shall go over and talk to her at once. Cynthia, my dear.
Yes, Mr. Holmes?
Who were the gentlemen calling on your mother?
Well, there was Mr. Tanner.
Yes.
He's the man who looks after the estate for Mommy.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. King, the painter.
Mr. King is the man who made this doll, eh? Now, who else was there?
Mr. Pound. He's a businessman from London that's staying with Mommy.
And they were all present in your house when you found the mascot lying on the bed.
Yes, Mr. Holmes.
What's no, chap?
Yes, sir?
I'm going over to see Cynthia's mother at once. I want Cynthia to stay here with you. Guard her, old chap, as you would your life. Mrs. Browning, I know I must seem like an intrusive neighbor, but possibly you've heard of me. My name is Holmes, Sherlock Holmes.
Well, who hasn't heard of the famous Sherlock Holmes? Please sit down, won't you?
Thank you. Your guests have left?
Yes. But how did you know I had guests? I know you're a great detective.
Your charming little daughter, Cynthia, came over to see me half an hour ago. She told me.
So that's where she went. Did she come back with you?
No, Mrs. Browning. I felt it safer that she remained at my place for a while. My friend, Dr. Watson, will look after her. I'm afraid she may be in danger.
In danger? Mr. Holmes, what makes you say that?
You know your daughter's doll, the one fashioned in her own likeness and with her own hair and nails?
Of course. Frank King made it for her.
While you were at tea this afternoon, your daughter found the doll lying on her bed with a penknife stuck through its heart.
That's very peculiar. But I don't see that she should be in any danger because of it, Mr. Holmes.
Mrs. Browning, certain practitioners of magic believe that if a doll-like effigy is made of a human being and the effigy is then mutilated, that a similar fate will befall the living original.
But, Mr. Holmes, that's black magic. You can't possibly believe in it.
Not in the results of stabbing a doll, Mrs. Browning, but well, it's possible that someone is trying to kill your daughter.
To kill Cynthia? Oh, no.
It may be more than a possibility, I'm afraid. And when these magical means fail, they will turn to more direct methods.
But who could possibly want her death?
You have not remarried, Mrs. Browning?
No, I feel it my duty to devote my life to Arthur's child, Cynthia.
Yes, then anyone wishing to marry you might feel that Cynthia stood in the way.
But that's absurd.
But logical, Mrs. Browning. Do you mind if I ask you a very personal question?
With Cynthia's safety at stake, you may ask any question.
Are any of the three men who were present at tea this afternoon desirous of marrying you?
Well,
Please be completely honest, Mrs. Browning.
At different times, they've all asked me to marry them, yes.
And you won't contemplate marriage because of your dead husband's child? Tell me, Mrs. Browning, have you seen this penknife before? It was the one found stuck through the doll's heart.
I don't think I've ever seen it before.
One final question. Would anyone among Cynthia's acquaintances have a knowledge of the practice of magic?
Well, the old woman that Cynthia calls the wise woman might.
Oh, who might she be?
A strange creature that lives in some hovel on the downs near here. Mm-hmm. She brews weird concoctions with herbs, love philters, and all that sort of thing.
I'd be a suitable companion for your daughter, Mrs. Browning.
I know it, Mr. Holmes. I've told Cynthia over and over again that she mustn't stray off and see the old woman. But you know how disobedient children are at her age. I'm sure she's been over there recently.
I'd like to talk to this woman. Where does she live?
I don't know exactly, but Frank can take you there. He used her as a model.
Frank King, the painter?
Yes, he lives in the village.
Then I shall call on him at once and persuade him to accompany me. We must find that wise woman and I hope save your child from magic. Magic and possible murder. Much further, Mr. King?
It's only a few more yards, Mr. Holmes. A little cottage is just behind the trees there. It's a pretty broken-down place. Poor old girl has only a few pennies to her name, I imagine.
Mrs. Browning was telling me that you used this old woman as a model.
Yes, she was a fascinating subject. I painted her as she was mixing up some devil's concoction of herbs and spices. I had her standing over a smoking cauldron with the firelight playing on her. It was quite effective.
Yes, it must have been. The subject of witchcraft appeals to you, Mr. King?
Well, I don't know anything about it. It was just that she was such a wonderful subject for a painter. Here we are.
I'll knock on the door. I think we'll take the liberty of going in, shall we?
I don't see why not. Shh. What is it?
Listen. Came from that room. Someone is here. Come on.
Look at her. Look at her head. Poor devil.
Yes, she's still alive. She isn't long for this world. Can you hear me? Here, let me lift you up a little. Can you understand what I'm saying? Tell me, who was it that did this to you?
She's too far gone to speak.
Got a piece of paper and a pencil?
Yes. Wait a minute. Here you are.
Thanks. Now, can you write the name of the man who did this to you?
She's pushing the pencil away. I don't suppose she knows how to write. She was trying to show you something, Mr. Holmes. She's trying to crawl over to the wall.
Yes. Yeah, let me help you. Must be a hiding place of some kind.
Look. She's taking a brick out of the wall.
What is it? Great Scott! Money. Veritable jackdaws, a nest of pennies. And small silver. And at least a dozen golden sovereigns. That must be the money.
Look! She's picking up one of the silver coins. She's trying to give it to you.
A sixpence, but what? Oh, poor woman, she's dead. And just as she was trying to tell me something.
I can't understand it. Golden sovereigns in this hovel, and she was showing you a silver sixpence as she died. Mr. Holmes, what are you going to do?
First, check on the young girl's safety. Meanwhile, I should like you to go back to my mother's, assemble the other two men who were present at tea time this afternoon, and keep them there until I arrive. I shan't be long.
But the police...
I shall summon them, Mr. King, when I have the murderer to offer them. And I'm convinced that will be before the sun sets tonight.
We'll hear the rest of Dr. Watson's story in just a second. Time enough for me to mention another wonderful Petri wine. Petri California Muscatel. If you like that subtle muscat flavor, who doesn't, you really like Petri Muscatel. Petri Muscatel is a clear golden wine. It is just as much a hit with the ladies as Petri Port is with the men. But I don't mean by that only the ladies like Petri Muscatel. In fact, if you want to be sure to please everybody, get both Petri Port and Petri Muscatel. In other words, don't buy one, buy two. But do be sure you always buy Petri. Now back to Dr. Watson and his guest tonight, Mrs. Campbell, who played a most important part in the story herself.
Oh, not nearly as important a part as that played by Mr. Holmes and Dr. Watson.
Well, Dr. Watson, what happened when Sherlock Holmes rejoined you at the bee farm?
Well, first of all, he made sure that the little girl was safe. Then he told me of finding the dead woman and of his theories as to the killing. I can almost hear him now, Mr. Bartell, as he said...
Watson. Someone wanted the little girl out of the way because they knew the mother would never marry while the child was alive.
And that someone persuaded the old woman to do the job for him, I suppose.
Undoubtedly. And she, believing in the powers of black magic, mutilated the doll, firmly convinced that in so doing she was destroying the young girl it was fashioned after.
And then I suppose when the potential murderer discovered the woman was merely indulging in stupid folklore, he killed her, realizing she was only a hindrance to him, and with her knowledge of the plan... a dangerous hindrance.
Exactly, my dear fellow. But how do you suppose we account for the hoard of money? Golden sovereigns, don't forget, that we found in the hovel.
Well, no doubt it was a sum that she was already being paid for the murder that she was going to commit.
As she died, she tried to give me the clue to her murderer by selecting certain coin. Now, in her possession, she had gold, silver, and copper. She chose a silver coin. And yet I can't see its significance, I must confess.
Well, at the moment, possibly not. And yet, before the evening's over... I bet you that...
What did you say, Watson?
I said before the evening's over, I bet you...
Thank you, old fellow. That's the clue. You bet me.
What on earth are you talking about, Holmes? I was just saying...
You've just given me the answer to the whole problem, Watson.
What?
I'm much obliged to you. Stay here, will you, old chap? And look after Cynthia a little while longer. Within a very short time, I shall have her intended destroyer under lock and key.
Mr. Holmes, I'm glad you've come. I've had the greatest difficulty in persuading these three gentlemen that their presence was necessary.
Within a few minutes, Mrs. Browning, two of them will be entirely free to leave if they want to.
Mr. Holmes, I think it'd be a good idea to tell everyone what happened.
Yes, Mr. Pound,
I think it'd be a good idea to tell everyone what happened.
Yes, how do you do, Mr. Pound?
How do you do, Mr. Holmes? Look here. If there's some scandal down
there... Oh, there is, Mr. Pound.
Then I want my name kept out of it. You hear? I have a seat on the London Stock Exchange.
Oh, very comfortable for you.
Yes.
And the other gentleman, by the process of elimination, must be Mr. Hugh Tanner, the manager of your estate, Mrs. Browning.
Yes, I'm Hugh Tanner. And now, Mr. Holmes, supposing you tell us what this is all about. I'm a straightforward man, and all this mystery is rather aggravating. Something has happened. Something that concerns us all. What is it?
Murder.
Murder? Murder? Good Lord, who's been murdered?
An old woman who lived in the village. Your daughter, Mrs. Browning, referred to her as the wise woman. Mr. King and I found her tonight in her cottage on the Downs, beaten to death. Murdered.
Well, that's shocking, but what's it got to do with us?
I'll explain, Mr. Pound. Each one of you, I believe, would like to marry Mrs. Browning. Her daughter Cynthia is an obstacle to such a marriage. One of you decided to remove that obstacle and engaged the wise woman to carry out the plan. Finding the woman clumsy and ineffective, you decided that she was a dangerous witness, and so you murdered her. Fortunately, the poor woman, as she was dying, gave me the clue to her murderer.
But how did she do that, Mr. Holmes? I thought you said that she died without speaking.
She did, Mrs. Browning, but she gave me the clue nonetheless, though I was shockingly slow in spotting it.
Well, what was the clue? Yes, let's stop being mysterious and come out into the open.
You were with me, Mr. King. As she died, I shall let you tell them.
Well, she was dying, unable to speak when Mr. Holmes asked who had attacked her. She couldn't write, but she showed him a hoard of copper and silver coins and a dozen golden sovereigns.
Sovereigns in a hovel like that? Oh, I see. She meant her murderer was the man who had paid her.
And with all that ill-gotten wealth, she died clutching a silver sixpence.
Well, you still don't see who the murderer is? Come along, gentlemen. You should know it as well as you know your own names. Now, Mr. King mentioned that there were a dozen sovereigns. Whose name does a sovereign suggest?
Sovereign? King. You, Frank King, were the murderer.
Oh, that's ridiculous. The old woman wasn't exactly a mastermind. Why should she be so indirect? And how much is a sovereign worth? £1. And your name, my friend, with a seat on the London Stock Exchange is Pound.
Oh, this is absolutely absurd. I can prove that I've never even met the woman.
Well, what is the answer, Mr. Holmes? I'm sure that you know it.
The answer is obvious, Mrs. Browning, though I'm ashamed to say that a chance remark of Dr. Watson's gave me the clue.
Oh, now look here. Stop beating about the bush, Holmes. What is the answer?
A very simple one, Mr. Pound. With 12 golden sovereigns at hand, sovereigns that would suggest either the name of King or Pound, what coin did the dying woman select?
A sixpence.
Exactly. A humble silver sixpence. And what is the common slang word for a sixpence?
A tanner.
Precisely. Which tells us that you, Mr. Hugh Tanner, killed the wise lady.
Try and prove it. That's all. Just try and prove it.
Holmes, what happened?
I found the murderer, old chap, thanks to you.
What do you mean, thanks to me?
Well, I was thinking of a sixpence, the coin the dead woman clutched in her hand, as a sixpence. When you said, I bet you, I thought of the much-used expression, bet your Tanner. That gave me the clue to the whole business. The dying woman was obviously trying to indicate that Hugh Tanner was her murderer.
He confessed, you say, before the police arrived.
Yes, after Frank King, the artist, had started to give him something of the thrashing he deserved. Oh, I take no particular pride in the case, Watson. Without your chance remark, I might easily have overlooked this obvious clue that the dying woman gave me. As I said before, old chap, I should not attempt to emerge from my retirement. Yes. It's obvious that my reflexes are shockingly slow.
Rubbish. The police would never have solved it.
Oh, my dear Watson, when you compare me with the police, I realize that my retirement should be permanent. By the way, where is Cynthia?
Well, I arranged with your housekeeper for her to have an early supper. Some kippers, a poached egg or two, a piece of that treacle tart we had last night, and a pot of tea.
Oh, for a 12-year-old girl, my dear Watson, this is an occasion when I might accuse you of being a potential murderer.
Oh, come now, Holmes, you know perfectly well.
Here she comes now. Hello, Cynthia. Did you enjoy your supper?
It was lovely. Thank you, Mr. Holmes. Is everything all right? Can I go home now?
Yes, Cynthia. Everything's all right.
Tell me, my dear, did you ask Mr. King to make that mascot for you?
Yes, Mr. Holmes. The wise woman told me it would bring me luck.
Oh, yes, I thought so.
Mr. Holmes, will everything be just like before?
No, not quite, Cynthia. Mr. Tanner and the wise woman have gone away. You won't see them again.
Oh, dear.
But you have new friends here, haven't you?
Yes, and nice ones.
Remember that, Cynthia. We'll always be your friends.
I will, Dr. Watson. I like you both so much.
I'm glad. And tell me, Cynthia, do you like Mr. King, the artist?
Oh, yes. Almost as much as I used to like my daddy.
Oh.
He's like my daddy, a little.
Oh, I'm glad to hear you say that, Cynthia. Tell your mother the same thing, will you? I think it might change a peculiarly foolish notion of hers.
Well, Dr. Watson and Mrs. Campbell, that was a really different kind of story. I'm sure glad you were here tonight, Mrs. Campbell. Tell me, has Dr. Watson changed much since you last saw him?
Well,
Yes, I think he's grown handsomer.
No. And what about Mrs. Campbell, Doctor? Has she changed?
Well, she is more grown up than the last time I saw her, but she hasn't changed much in one respect.
What's that, Doctor?
Your appetite, my dear. Oh. I remember how Holmes was amazed at the amount you ate when you were a child, but you certainly had just as hearty a dinner this evening.
Well, that was your fault, Doctor. Your dinner was too good.
Oh, Cynthia, don't talk about the wine.
Well, why shouldn't I talk about the wine? It was wonderful.
Sure it was. It was Petri wine, that's why.
You see? Now you got him started.
And Mrs. Campbell, Petri wine is always good wine. That's because the Petri family has been making wine for generations. Ever since long ago when they started the Petri business, winemaking has been an art with the Petri family. It's a tradition, a heritage that they've handed on down from father to son, from father to son. Believe me, when it comes to turning luscious, sun-ripened California grapes into fragrant, delicious wine, well, you can bet your last dollar that the Petri family really knows how. No matter what type wine you prefer, for any occasion, you just can't miss with a Petri wine, because Petri took time to bring you good wine. Well, Dr. Watson, what new Sherlock Holmes adventure are you planning to tell us next week?
Well, as next week, as St. Patrick's Day is only about 6 days away, Mr. Bartell, I thought next week that I'd tell you a rather unusual story that took place at Ireland at the turn of the century. It concerns the famous ceremony of kissing the Blarney Stone, St. Patrick's Night Revel, and an old Irish ballad that led directly to one of the most devilish murders that Sherlock Holmes and I ever encountered.
Tonight's Sherlock Holmes adventure was written by Dennis Green and Anthony Boucher and was suggested by an incident in the Sir Arthur Conan Doyle story, The Adventure of the Copper Beeches. Music is by Dean Fossler. Mr. Rathbone appears through the courtesy of Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, and Mr. Bruce through the courtesy of Universal Pictures, where they are now starring in the Sherlock Holmes series. You can read about the stars of our broadcast in the April issue of Everybody's Digest. The Petri Wine Company of San Francisco, California, invites you to tune in again next week, same time, same station. Sherlock Holmes comes to you from our Hollywood studios. This is Harry Bartell saying goodnight for the Petri family. For a solid hour of exciting mystery dramas, listen every Monday on most of these same stations at 8 o'clock to Michael Shayne, followed immediately by Sherlock Holmes. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.